Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Hall of Fame game tonight. Unfortunately, no Caleb Williams, but is he the next great QB? Hey, welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. CJ Stroud has kind of thrown off our expectations for rookies
Yes.
because he was so amazing, but he had like very little, I want to say, expectation. We loved him at Ohio State. He was great. But during the draft process, Perloff, it wasn't that kind to CJ Stroud. Obviously, he goes 2 overall, so it didn't hurt him that much. It's not like he fell and tumbled in the draft, but he did go 2, and then he was far and away the best quarterback out of the gate last year. Caleb Williams, on the meanwhile, has been hyped since he was at Oklahoma. You could go back to his prep days in Washington, D.C. The expectations for him are sky high.
Well, it's so funny because the thing we criticize, what was the criticism of C.J. Stroud? Oh, Dwayne Haskins was even better than you at Ohio State. He didn't do anything in the NFL.
Right.
Justin Fields was just as good at you as Ohio State. He hasn't been a great passer in the NFL. So everyone said, oh, you're just a system guy. Caleb Williams, who's his coach?
Lincoln Riley.
I mean, Lincoln Riley is like, does nothing but create Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks. So why do we not put the system thing on Caleb? It's interesting to me. And the other thing about CJ, like CJ Stroud, you see him in shorts. You said the draft process. Like, he doesn't blow you away. He doesn't look like, and not that Caleb, I think when he throws the ball, it's just stunning at USC. He just looks different. He looks like Aaron Rodgers combined with, I don't know. I love him. But I'm hearing
your own voice.
Yeah, that threw me off there. I was like, who is that? Who's that man with a rich voice there?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. I think something's coming through the Zoom, guys, if you don't mind checking that out from EJ Zoom. But we press on because here's the thing about Caleb. CJ, it turns out, was in this great situation. I don't think we were talking about it as being this great situation. It turned out it was. Turns out there is, there are good wide receivers on the Houston Texans. Your offensive line was put together. DeMeco Ryans can be a head coach at this level. You had all these things that were kind of a little bit like a sleeping giant. The Chicago Bears have this stuff.
Wait.
Yes.
They have all those things because the receivers turned out good because CJ Stroud hit him between the numbers. The offensive line was good because CJ Stroud knew when to get rid of the ball. The coach was good. Yeah. But why? I'm not sure. I want to follow your logic through because if Caleb Williams isn't good, then none of the things around him matter.
Well, okay, that's fair. But you're talking about, are you walking into a place where you actually can succeed right away? And I think, yes, Stroud has a lot to do with it, but he did have a good line. Like he did. There were pieces here. The cupboard wasn't so empty and so bare as much as we thought it was. And I think Stroud elevated. We're looking at the Bears now, and at least on the offensive side, you have DJ Moore, who last year, when it was between Justin Fields, who is not known to be a great passer in this league, and Tyson Bagent, still had 96 receptions and over 1,300 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns. And that's with guys who are not even, we don't think at the caliber of Caleb Williams. Add Keenan Allen, add DeAndre Swift in the running game. You have Darnell Wright. Did you know he was the top left tackle of the 2023 class last year? So you have this core. Offensively, this group should be good. And you have a defensive-minded head coach. Obviously, the defense should not be a disaster either.
Yeah, that seems like a bit of a assumption to me that line's going to be okay. First of all, Houston had a little more of a veteran line. All the headlines coming out of Chicago camp are panicking about the offensive line, which is not surprising because you're putting together a lot of young pieces that are unproven. You're putting together a lot of injury-prone guys. I have to see that offensive line come together. Yes, they have these great receivers, but so much is dependent on Caleb Williams taking off like a rocket ship because, again, it's a rookie quarterback. He's not going to know how to do everything. I don't know how C.J. Stroud did it. And I just, generally, I don't think, who were the receivers? Tank Dell, Nico Collins.
In Houston.
Last year in Houston with C.J. Stroud.
And Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, I mean, that was nothing, right? So there's no analogy between, I don't see the Bears as having this sleeping giant like the Texans did. I just think CJ Stroud was so good instantly. I don't know why it was. I think this is all on Caleb Williams to be exceptional. I don't care who the receivers are around them. If they're going to get past 8 or 9 wins, their win total's 8.5.
Yeah.
Like to beat that, like Caleb Williams is going to have to be the man. And here's what people forget. Most rookie quarterbacks are
Struggle.
just not fully ready to go.
Totally.
You're right. C.J. Stroud screwed it up for everybody. So even with these pieces here, like, let's not count on Caleb Williams to be a Pro Bowler.
Okay, well, I think one of the big things of what is the best thing a quarterback can do to help their offensive line? Get rid of the ball. That's something Justin Fields could not do. And that was one of the criticisms. First, he would do a lot of QB keepers, which we understand. That's part of his game. Not so much in college, but definitely in the pros. And getting rid of the ball is going to be the key to this thing. And I think that's something CJ Stroud figured out, which was the irony is that in the pre-draft process, if you'll remember, back a year and a half ago, or whatever it was, the knock on Stroud was that he couldn't process the field. Like, he couldn't process.
Bomb the S2 test?
Yeah, because he bombed some silly tests that we don't even know how much that really correlated. Turns out he was processing just fine.
Well, let me ask you a question. You watched Caleb Williams at USC.
Yeah.
Do you remember any single play where he ever got rid of the ball? I seem to remember him doing 4 Patrick Mahomes pirouettes and finding somebody 60 yards
Necessity.
downfield.
Had to.
Yeah, well, did he? He had Lincoln Riley as a coach. Are we sure?
That team.
Justin Fields, same
good.
thing. Like, are we sure? Like, that seemed like necessity, too, because he didn't have an offensive line. There just seems to be, it's hard to predict how good a quarterback is going to be.
What's your
getting rid of the
prediction
ball.
for Caleb?
I think they're going to be 8-9. I went through the schedule. I think he is Trevor Lawrence reincarnated. He's going to be good. He's going to be solid. He's super professional from everything you hear about him. I don't think he's the next C.J. Stroud. I don't think you're going to have a C.J. Stroud at 4,300 yards in limited games. Didn't even play 17 games. I think he's going to be good, promising, fine. Is that okay?
Trevor Lawrence's rookie year, which was kind of the whole thing.
I'll go just Trevor Lawrence as a whole.
Okay.
I think we're talking 25 touchdowns, 11 picks kind of guy.
Well,
not C.J. Stroud, which was rocket ship.
Yeah, sure. So what you're kind of saying, though, a little bit of a backhanded compliment if you say Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Because Trevor Lawrence was also the generational guy. He was the next dude, and it's not worked out that way.
Kind of. He just got a second contract. He's been good. He had a Pro Bowl year 2 years ago.
Everyone's getting a second contract. I mean, if you can complete a pass, it looks like you are getting a second contract. So I can't even say if you stay healthy, because you don't even necessarily have to stay healthy and you're getting a second contract. There's no doubt Trevor Lawrence has not delivered on the elite status that we were expecting.
But
so it's kind of a backhanded compliment.
But he's not disappointing for Jacksonville either. At the same time,
it's incomplete.
But nobody's blaming Trevor Lawrence for that. They're blaming the Jags.
Just wait.
I don't think
he was hurt last year. It was different. He was hurt.
I mean, the dude came back from 27-0 in a playoff game.
Yeah,
I don't see a lot of Trevor Lawrence blame. Listen, if you wear that Jaguars jersey, you're always going to be able to blame the franchise. They have a history. You think Trevor Lawrence has been a disappointment? It's funny. I don't think Jags fans feel that way. I think they were all excited they re-signed him.
Well, you had to.
Well, that's what if Caleb Williams is Trevor Lawrence? Play it out with me,
I think that's going to be disappointing. And I think if Trevor Lawrence and Caleb Williams have this sort of good but not great careers, I think it's definitely going to be disappointing. And maybe that's our own fault because of the generational talent moniker and best, prospects since Andrew Luck and John Elway. And, we throw around this stuff. But yeah, if they're just good quarterbacks, sure, they'll be rich beyond their wildest dreams. But if they're not actually reach the level of, listen, Mahomes has kind of put a lot of distance, but if they are not in MVP races, which Trevor Lawrence is not, if they're not winning playoff games consistently, I think it's definitely going to be thought of as, those guys were fine, but never lived up to the hype.
That's interesting. That's a heavy expectation on Caleb Williams.
I think it's different in Chicago now.
He's a
it's
Chicago
different.
Quarterback. What Bears quarterback has ever been in an MVP conversation? The voters don't even know what to do with that.
New day, new era. Well,
same coach.
For now. You rarely had wide receivers who've broken 1,000 yards in a season, and DJ Moore did that last year.
You could have had Randy Moss on one side and T.O. on the other. With the Bears quarterbacks, they weren't breaking 1,000 yards.
Well, this is different. It only takes
Jay Cutler
one.
was okay, but
Jay Cutler's fine, but didn't last long. This is a new day. This is the ultimate. They made the ultimate trade at the ultimate time with the Carolina Panthers, and this could be their moment. This is the turning point of the franchise.
Yeah, it seems like you're putting an awfully lot on them. And listen, they're going to be on Hard Knocks, so they're going to get a lot of attention too. I just feel like this hype probably is unrealistic.
855-212-4227. Hall of Fame game tonight. Spoiler, no Caleb Williams. No anybody, I don't think. Maybe John Mechie. We might get Mechie. And we're definitely getting Tyson Bagent. Hopefully his arm wrestler dad makes an appearance.
Oh, my God. You mean the future star of Hard Knocks who's going to be shoved in our face for about 4 weeks?
The dad.
The dad.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. The dad. Yeah, I heard someone say that his dad is already walking around camp talking about how cool he looks on Hard Knocks. So this is going to be a long month if you're not a Bajan fan. His son is pretty interesting too.
Yeah, I thought he appointed himself well last year in relief of Justin Fields. But anyway, you are welcome to weigh in on the expectations in your mind for Justin Fields at Caleb Williams at 855-212-4227. We were really spinning through a lot of Chicago quarterbacks there for a while. Hopefully this is a little stability at that position for years to come.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I just think that, first of all, that put that C on your helmet and all of a sudden you forget how to play quarterback. The other thing, too, rookie quarterbacks, I mean, this is the NFL. By week 18, we see the backup to Tyson Bagent is probably going to be playing at some point. I don't trust that line. I went through their schedule. They have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. Schedule. So they seem to be, I think they're going to be floating around the exact same place they were last year, 7-10. They're going to play Green Bay in week 17. I'll bet you right now they're 8-8 going into that game. I don't know if that will get you into the wild card. It's going to be tough. I just think we have to be patient. I understand you throwing out Andrew Luck. You're throwing out generational quarterback. And I think you're not alone. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this situation with Caleb Williams, the surefire number one pick. And I think it's so hard to deliver on that.
It is, but again, we don't throw it around all that often. Probably too much, but it's not like we're doing that with every single class. Nobody looked at this quarterback class that we just had with the 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round and thought there was a Trevor Lawrence in there.
Caleb Williams.
No, I mean, besides Caleb, there wasn't
another one. Yeah.
There wasn't another one.
Most years are not.
I don't think, yes, we're the media, we tend to hyperbole. I think we do hold a little bit of restraint. A little bit. We said Caleb, we said Trevor, Andrew Luck. Those have been the guys who have been the generational guys.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Luck obviously
cut short.
Do you think he reached expectations?
No, not even close.
I mean, the team around him, he never had an offensive line when he started, didn't have great receivers. I felt like he was pretty good.
He was pretty good and has one big comeback in the playoffs. I think that was his basically his biggest moment. But no, because he left the sport early.
I mean, I'm looking at the list of number 1 overall picks. Sorry, Joe Burrow, is he generational? He's a little different because he came out
on so fast.
But I feel like that was a pretty good. You're right. Baker Mayfield, no. Jared Goff, no way. Jameis, not really.
Not generational.
Andrew Luck in 2012, yes. Cam Newton turns out was generational, but no one knew at the time because he only played 1 year of college football.
He was a little Burrow-like, I think.
Yeah. Oh, great analogy. Sam Bradford was, as I recall, not generational. Stafford was not that good in college, so you couldn't make him generational. I mean, he was pretty darn good. That was a surefire number 1 pick. Jamarcus Russell, man.
Well,
that was generational.
That was, and that's legendary now.
You're right. There are very few guys who are sure things like this. But it's funny. I think Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams might have similar trajectories, like good quarterbacks who can't quite get the team together. Because listen, I understand there's so much optimism in Chicago, but we haven't seen it, Maggie. You're saying that offensive line, these great receivers, Keenan Allen's going to stay healthy. I just feel like people are way too bullish on this team. Tonight's going to be a celebration of Caleb Williams.
Who's going to be the first person who says maybe Caleb? It's the game's obviously in Canton. Yeah. It's the Hall of Fame game. Yeah. Who's going to be the first person on the broadcast who's like, and maybe one day Caleb will be wearing the gold jacket?
Oh, my God.
How long into the broadcast?
If you're a producer director of the show tonight, is there any way you're not doing that, Maggie? No one's going to say.
To Canton.
If the announcer says tonight, well, he is a rookie quarterback, he could go 6-11. That will not be heard tonight.
To be honest, they should probably be doing it for Stroud.
Yeah, I know. The funny thing, too, is the best day for any Chicago Bears quarterback is that day before he actually gets on the field as a Chicago Bears quarterback. God. I don't know. It's just history. History is weighing on my mind here.
And the reason I mentioned Stroud is obviously the Bears are playing the Texans, but you're not going to see Stroud either. Love this in the chat, checking in from San Antonio, Texas. Let us know where you're listening from. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and also on X at Maggie Gray. Okay, welcome to weigh in on Caleb. Meanwhile, dust up at training camp. Scuffle? Kerfuffle? Not so much at Donnybrook, but definitely fisticuffs. We'll get to that next. 855-212-4227. It's Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
right, welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So, Maggie, we've been covering NFL for a long time. The one thing I've heard many times more than anything is training camp fights don't mean anything. They mean nothing. They mean less than nothing. Even the most congenial team that loves each other, they fight in training camp.
Yeah.
It's the humidity.
Yep.
It's unbearable. And we're on the East Coast. So, and it's hot. And coaches who say they don't like the training camp fights are outright lying. But I think that you were reading a little more into the sort of scrum that went down in Latrobe, Pennsylvania yesterday.
Yeah, I noticed it. I'm sure everybody, if you're into this kind of thing, you may have caught it on social media. You had Justin Fields, again, taking most of the reps at training camp yesterday because they're being very careful with Russell Wilson's calf, which they should be. The calf, the Achilles, it's all right there. You don't want to mess around. So Justin Fields does not have a red jersey on, by the way. Like, doesn't have the don't hit me jersey on, but he does roll out. QB fake handoff, he rolls out and he gets hit a little bit. And one of his offensive linemen comes, shoves the guy and pushes the guy who hit him, and a scrum ensues. And I'll agree with you. I think coaches actually like these training camp fights. It shows that guys are being engaged. It shows that they're competitive as long as nobody gets hurt. What I thought this showed is, wow, that took nothing to back up Justin Fields. Like, how well is he appointing himself, and how well has he really made an impression on the rest of the team that it was nothing and they came to his defense in this way? And, if he was definitely the backup or an afterthought or whatever, I don't know if the offense has this kind of reaction when he gets hit. Meanwhile, they were responding like he was the starter. They're responding like he's the star hockey player, and now all of a sudden you got to have the goons go and protect him. That's what I saw.
I feel like you're creating a narrative off a incident that you're making it in a big picture, what could be a small picture. I mean, how many? Today is Thursday. There's probably going to be 10 training camp fights today, somewhere or other.
But not everybody has a quarterback battle like this. This is very different.
I don't know. So you're saying because there was a training camp fight that all of a sudden the team's got Justin Fields back, and you're implying over Russell Wilson's back?
I'm not saying over. I'm saying I think that Justin Fields might be making a good impression on his new teammates. And is this going to be the difference between him starting or not? I have no idea. Probably not. But if Fields does see the field this year, which I think we all expect that at some point he is going to be out there.
Oh, definitely.
Right. Does he have more chemistry, camaraderie, and does he fit in better with the teammates?
I just think that's a gigantic leap to think that one training camp fight tells us anything. There's 17 million other moments in training camp. We have no idea what's really going on behind the scenes there. And we had no idea that Justin Fields was fighting with Andy Dalton and Nick Foles in Chicago. We wouldn't have been able to guess that in a million years. Who fights with Nick Foles? It made no sense. So
toxic.
I like your narrative. I think it's good, but I just think it feels like a training camp fight. Who knows? Okay. Who knows?
Do you remember not that long ago, maybe 6 weeks, 8 weeks at this point, when we made not a big deal, but we made a deal out of Caitlin Clark's teammates not rushing over to help her up off the floor when she got a forearm shiver from Kennedy Clark.
Right.
We do this thing.
Well, right. But
we make assumptions about how teammates like or don't like each other based on how they react in the moment. And this was the opposite of that. Fields got hit, not even hard, but he got hit. He shouldn't have. And the teammates came rushing out.
Right. We did that with Caitlin Clark. It's called hysteria. It's Caitlin Clark. Yes, it's blowing up every little thing for clicks, when in reality, everyone in the WNBA is like, it was not as big a deal. Like, you guys are, everyone made such a huge deal of that, and everybody inside the team is like, okay, whatever. This is a game. I just feel like we're doing the same thing. Like, we're not doing Caitlin Clark, because if you say somebody elbowed Caitlin Clark, like, the internet will break, because Caitlin Clark's a special case. You got to send to the
National Guard.
But yeah, it feels like overreaction, because inside, we don't really know exactly what it's like in that quarterback room, in that offensive room. I just think just to see what you see at training camp fight, I think that's a leap. That's my opinion. I understand what you're saying. It's a cool narrative, but just one training camp fight means they love Justin Fields now. I can't do it.
Well, I would just say the opposite. Would we also notice the opposite? So the big scuffle yesterday, Steelers training camp, if Justin Fields keeps the ball on a fake handoff, rolls out, gets hit, goes on the ground, and nobody does anything, we might notice that, just like how we noticed yesterday that they had his back.
Maybe the offensive lineman didn't see him. Who knows? Maybe he tripped, or maybe a coach called the offensive lineman. He couldn't back him. I just think that one play, one incident is. And besides, if Justin Fields goes back and takes a bad sack in a key game against the Bengals in week 9, nobody's going to care about who has his back and who doesn't have his back. I don't know. It just feels like a little bit of a false narrative to me. Again, you could be totally right.
But hold on. Yesterday, I feel like you were the one saying that Russell Wilson has not generally been the guy known as the team guy.
No, but he won just 1 million football games.
Right. But like, this is the thing, right? If the contrast could be that you have a guy in Russ who was never, well, at least this is kind of the history that the Legion of Boom will write, right? That it was sort of like he was on one island and the team was on a different one. And again, this is Richard Sherman, and these are these guys who clearly still hold a grudge against Russ for what happened in the Super Bowl with Malcolm Butler.
And the receivers have come out against him too.
Right. So there's a sort of 1 in 52 type of thing.
Big time.
Right. So that's at play here also.
But why? But that 1 in 52, that was a narrative, but it still didn't matter. They had winning records 10 years in a row, so it was great. It didn't make any difference whatsoever.
Well, they think they could have been a dynasty. You know, if you ask Marshawn Lynch, I think they believe there was so much more meat left on the bone.
Well, you can't blame Russ. Russ just got better and better throughout his career.
Well,
the defense got old fast. They sort of had Cam Chancellor as a human missile out there. I don't know. What did Russ do wrong? Russ actually improved dramatically off of 2013.
Well, I'm just saying there was an idea that it obviously bothered them. Like, whether or not it was the bottom line, it definitely bothered them. And so you've got a guy in Russ who maybe is not known as like Mr. Everyman, part of the team, and then more of a CEO type. And then now you have maybe Justin Fields, younger guy, maybe has ingratiated himself to the team.
I got to tell you, I just think likability, ingratiating yourself to the team. My guy, Andy Dalton, nobody likes it. Nobody likes a quarterback more than teammates like Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I mean, from up and down the roster. That doesn't mean that translates to wins every game. I just think the bottom line is winning. I don't care who likes who in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's such a funny team, too, because they just ruined Kenny Pickett last year. We saw it. Matt Canada was the worst offensive coordinator I've ever seen. Now, is Arthur Smith going to be different? You know what? They'll fight for Justin Fields, but are you going to call a pass play on first down, or are you going to have 3rd and 8 because Najee Harris ran into the line 3 times? I just think there's so much more going on. I understand what you're saying, and I feel like you do have a good instinct of what's going on with these teams, but just this fight, I can't read into this because there's going to be 10 other fights today. It's training camp.
I know. And I'm glad they're wearing these extra helmet on top of the helmet because it's very safe, and that's the most important thing. You shouldn't be taking hits you don't need to take.
Well, there's punching in a football helmet. There's nothing dumber.
Well, that's
Hitting
silly.
a guy in a helmet. Oh, my God.
Brian Cushing headbutting somebody when he doesn't have a helmet on and the other person does. That's not the smartest move.
That's linebacker play.
It looks like we have these big hats here. They look like little mushroom people running around fighting each other.
I kind of like those helmets, though. Now they put the cover on them. Like, why aren't we wearing those?
You can just wear them.
Yeah, I know. Like, why are they wearing them during the season? Let's have a real conversation about
What's
this.
That?
It looks dumb.
Yeah, it looks dumb.
They look like mushroom, like toadstool.
But
from
what is
Mario.
going on here? Like, it's proven to be safer and avoid concussions, and they're not wearing them because they look dumb?
Are they heavier? Does it make it a little heavier on your head and
It
neck?
looks like a cloud, so I don't think so.
I mean,
I think it's aesthetic, right?
It can't be lighter. You're adding something extra.
No, but
on
it's
top
built of
the
a different
helmet.
material.
Hey, CeeLo.
Hi, good morning. Sorry, I didn't introduce myself.
Chris Lepresti's with
Hi.
us this morning.
But it's like they have a helmet that's made out of the black box, to use the black box joke. Like, when a plane crashes and the black box survives, why don't they make the whole plane out of the black box? If this helmet works, why are they're like, okay, we're going to wear this in practice because it helps avoid concussions.
Yeah.
Help me out here.
I agree. I think Ryan's right. I think it's the aesthetic. I think they don't like the way it looks.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
They look like mushroom people.
Unless what you said, like, is it heavier? But anyway, I don't know. The fight, it doesn't matter what helmet you're wearing. Has anyone actually ever gotten hurt in a football fight? Like, you're going out after a guy who's fully padded. It's like the dumbest thing ever.
Is there a Cortland Finnegan fight with
Maybe.
Andre
Johnson?
Andre Johnson is getting the Hall of Fame today. Yeah, EJ.
I was going to say, that was an NFL game. That wasn't a training
That
camp.
wasn't training camp. Wasn't a
No,
padded
yeah, that was
practice.
like a regular
No,
season
but
game,
U.S.
I
has
believe.
anyone ever gotten hurt in a football fight?
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think you'd risk your hand, be the most hit. Yeah.
Be silly.
It's funny. We see these fights all the time. And also we see guys in baseball like come off and get hurt because pitchers especially, they come off and they're mad and they like punch the wall or break a hand. Yet these guys punch helmets and we'll get back out there tomorrow. No
That
problem.
is my biggest fear. If I was an athlete, is to get mad and punch something and get injured in fit of anger.
That's your specific fear?
Yeah,
I've never seen you that mad. Even approaching
oh my
that
gosh.
bad.
In basketball, I get really mad. Like everybody does in basketball. You come off the field and you might throw something or punch something. Or have my favorite player or like a pitcher get mad and, they get into the dugout and just start destroying things. Remember Trent Green? I mean, that was the headbutting of what he thought was a sign. Oh.
Or was it Gus Farrar?
Oh, Gus Farrar.
Who did
Whatever.
that? He
Same
thot
guy.
it was like padded. And
that wasn't even anger, though. That was the celebration.
That was celebration.
Yeah.
What's worse?
Like
the Edwin
Grammatica
Diaz
brother? Yeah.
Where you have your patella tendon like EJ ripped out because you're celebrating the World Baseball Classic?
The worst. That is the worst.
At least you won something, though.
The Gus Farrar one is just remembered, I think, as stupidity after all these years.
Most of them
you know?
Wasn't there a pitcher who saw a sign and got mad, like an Angels pitcher, I believe? This is way back in the day, and punched it. He thought it was just a banner, and there was actually a brick wall right behind it, and he didn't know it was there. And broke his hand and was out. I think it ruined his career.
I mean, it just happened to Mason Miller from the A's. It was his non-pitching hand, but he...
Yeah, because he didn't want to lift weights after the game.
Yeah.
It's like, you're a professional athlete.
Right.
So they might ask you to work out every now and then.
What happened to Mason Miller?
He I think, broke his non-pitching hand or
pinky.
finger or something.
He was laying on a
trainer table.
And just, I guess he sat on his hand wrong, or like, I guess he clipped his finger and his pinky broke.
Well, that's the official story. Then the other story came out that he didn't want to lift weights after the game.
Mad.
He was mad and he slammed his hand out and broke his pinky.
Mark, the manager, came out and was like, "Well, we tell the truth around here, so here's what really happened."
Oh my God!
Like ultimate thrown under the bus moment.
Yeah, well,
that's when you know they hate that guy.
Trying to set that culture there in Oakland.
They hate that
right?
guy. I wanted that guy on the Phillies so bad.
I don't know that they hate him. I think they're just
they're
trying to be
him.
transparent. Yeah,
for once.
Right.
Oh, side note: the players are allowed to wear the Guardian caps for the season.
Is that
on
Does
the
anyone
Guardian
do it?
website? They
I've
put
never
a press
seen
release that they're now allowed to wear it.
So
Yeah,
do
that
do
might
they
be new.
Slap the logos on those now, because I
Put a
just
little
assumed that was part
cover
of it.
on
No,
it.
I know what the cover is, but
Yeah.
I'm saying you see them in
The
camp. They
uniform
don't have the
violation.
logos of that. Like on the helmet, you've always got the team logo.
They didn't imagine you put the mushroom hat on
They
to
fine you.
protect your brain, and they're like, "That's going to be $20,000." That's a uniform violation, and your socks are the wrong color.
That'd be the most NFL thing ever.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
CeeLo has headlines for us on this fine Thursday. Good morning.
Good morning. Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and autos. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com. First of all, get excited. We do have the Hall of Fame game tonight. Football preseason begins. Bears and Texans. I know you guys touched on Caleb Williams there in the open. So no starters for Chicago. The immortal Tyson Bagent will be at quarterback. Texans head coach D'Amico Ryan's playing it close to the vest. Would not reveal who's going to play or who's not.
Yeah.
Preseason game number 1. I don't know why we need to do that, but that's the course of action he took with the media. That game will begin tonight at 8 Eastern. Now, if you believe Jets head coach Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers won't play in the first 2 preseason games for the Jets, and perhaps not until week 1, of course, coming off the torn Achilles. But it sounds like Saleh perhaps forgot to share that with his veteran quarterback.
I don't have any restrictions. I'm doing keepers, rollouts. So it was news to me yesterday when he said I wasn't going to play in the first 2. Eric sent me that. Thank you.
That's Eric Gelfand, who's the Jets VP of Communications. And here we go. It's always something with
These
the Jets.
two can't get on the same page about big things and little things. Hopefully, once the season starts, they just don't have to speak to each other anymore, because Saleh will do the defensive stuff and Rodgers will run the offense.
Wait, what about the third game? Why do you keep saying the first 2?
Well, Saleh said the first 2, and he said we haven't had a conversation yet about the third one. And then if you
Who's
listen to
we?
Aaron, well, you would think him and Rodgers and the staff, but then the next day Rodgers speaks and makes it seem like, well, I don't know about any of this. No one's said anything to me yet.
Also, nobody can let it go. Like they have to keep telling the public, well, I never heard about it. This is news to me. Nobody can just let the other guy off the hook.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Like you can't just be like, yeah, you know what? It was an unexcused absence. I did go to Egypt. It's just like my bad.
Right.
And nobody can say, oh, well, what we are going to talk about. It's fine. Each guy has to get their
Pound of flesh.
It's a you-know-what measuring in very small doses.
Which doesn't bode well for all these people that have big expectations for the Jets again this year.
But by the way, the last game is Giants-Jets. I feel like that someone always gets hurt in that game. You can't roll out Rodgers for that game and get him hurt.
That was the one he played in last year. He played a couple, I think 1 or 2 series before the week 1 opener when he got hurt, 4 plays in.
CeeLo, you were probably covering the team at the time of the infamous Rex Ryan Snoopy Bowl thing.
I sure was.
He put Mark Sanchez back into a preseason game, the fourth one at the time, and Sanchez got hurt.
That was the beginning of the end for Mark Sanchez.
And Rex.
Yeah.
Well, Rex actually stayed for a little bit longer.
Well, and it also thrust Geno Smith into having to play week 1 as a rookie when he clearly was not ready.
So
what a disaster of a decision that was.
It really was. Yeah.
I know we did this story before, but so Aaron Rodgers is not going to play, and he gets week 1 against the Niners. This feels daunting.
I think that's why I think he is going to play. Thank you, Pearl. I think that's why he is going to play. I think
he might get out there week 3?
And I think it's his decision. And quite frankly, it should be. Guy's had 19 years in the league.
And he spoke about that. Look, we used to play all the time. He went through the whole history of it, and we understand it's changed. It's not what it was when he first came into the league. But yeah, if you're a 40-year-old veteran quarterback who you're putting all your eggs in that basket, if he wants to play, and he didn't play pretty much all of last season, give him a series or two. I mean, what?
Yeah, these two guys just can't.
No.
The communication is just not on the same page.
I heard something interesting. Your quarterback, Josh Allen, in Buffalo Bills, like he never plays in the preseason, always struggles week 1.
Usually. Well,
yeah, or a lot of guys.
The Jets and the defense is good.
A lot of quarterbacks come out who struggle, who don't do preseason and then struggle in week 1. I mean, it's obvious, but that seems to be a trend.
Got to get that first L out of the way. Losing week 1 is just like, just get it out of the way. But then you go into week 2 and it's like, well, teams that go 0-2 never make the playoffs or whatever that stat is.
Good thing for the Bills, they had the Raiders and Commanders the following 2 weeks.
That helps.
It's all schedule. Anyway, I am worried. I'm going to put it out there. I'm a little worried for Aaron Rodgers playing in prime time against San Francisco. I mean, are we all traumatized from last year when he ran out with the flag and the expectations for the whole country were sky high and 4 plays in? You guys remember that?
Thank you for reminding everybody. That was a rough day for him.
That was bananas.
Amazing.
Yeah, the 4 plays were amazing. Well,
it was a 20-yard run, an incomplete pass, a flag, and then his Achilles popped.
NFL Network's Daniel Jeremiah, my favorite analyst, said he was talking about quarterbacks. He goes, I saw those 4 plays. I didn't like how long he was holding onto the ball. I'm like, you made an actual analysis of the 4 plays and determined.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the world today. Instant,
4 plays.
Instant analysis.
You're right, Perloff. I know what you're saying. But I remember at the time, at least locally here in New York, that was a storyline about the way the Jets were blocking on that play.
Yeah, he was bound
for him
to get
get
hurt.
rid of the ball quickly.
Yeah, it was supposed to get rid of it.
And then he popped his Achilles, and season's over. I mean,
now let's add Nick Bosa into the mix coming off the edge.
I feel like
that offensive line's ready to go.
He had 4 plays. It felt like all 4 were near catastrophic injuries.
To be honest,
and we didn't even know which play it was. Well, he looked kind of awkward on that second play too.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: whether Rodgers plays or not, that offensive line better get some reps. They need to see some live action.
He's been having trouble.
No,
with
those guys are like 100 years old. Those guys all have 17 years of NFL experience. You're not going to put them out on the field in preseason, are you?
Well, the center's a second-year guy, and he's been having trouble.
Well, I mean,
he's snapping the ball basically to Ohio when they're in New Jersey.
There can't be an older offensive line in the history of the NFL. Morgan Moses actually is the real Moses. He was there on the mountain with the commandments. That guy's been around since Joe Gibbs. He was a hog. He was one of the Washington's hogs.
God, that's great.
Amazing. He comes in, he's got a staff and a robe, walking in with the commandments, put them down.
He's one of those guys who also is he's been a veteran forever.
Yes. No, you're not wrong about
that. Which is
that.
good, by the way. I think the Jets should bring in older guys. They're not playing the preseason.
Sorry, now I'm thinking Moses playing offensive line. He's got sandals on, burning bush on the sideline.
Yeah, working on that kick step, trying to block for
and if you're worried
Rodgers'
about
backside.
Is he more of an interior? Or
you're worried about
good leader, though.
Aaron Rodgers' health? Tyron Smith's health. I mean, how many snaps is that dude going to play in a season?
Well, and also I think, we clown the Cowboys for a lot of things. They know a thing or two about putting offensive lines together, and they were like, nope, it's cool. See you, Tyron Smith. We don't need
I mean, the guy hasn't played more than 11 games in forever. He's 33. Moses is also 33. So, yeah, I don't know. There is a potential for disaster here.
You guys are just making my case for me. And I hate to rain on the Jets parade, but I've seen this act before, man.
You covered them. Were you also a fan?
No, I grew up a Giants fan.
Okay.
But I will say I never, and this is the same for me with Yankees Mets. I got no hate for the Jets. I don't enjoy raining on their parade. I feel for the fan base. They have been waiting forever. I just feel like, again, all the points you just laid out, forget Rodgers, but the Rodgers solid dynamic, age of the offensive line, The offensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett's a mess. Like the schedule early on in the season, again, primetime game. I don't see it, man.
Gosh, it's so nice to have I need that voice for reason. You know what I mean, Maggie?
Well,
like,
to be
I
fair,
need that
EJ
guy.
did try to tell all this to you yesterday. He's like,
okay.
And
Sorry,
then
EJ.
And then they get on a plane and go to London. You're like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, I don't know. It kind of feels like a lot of miles.
I actually looked at their schedule. I mean, there is not an easier schedule. There's 2 easier schedules in the NFL. I mean, it's like a who's who of easy wins.
For the Jets?
If they can't beat New England, Denver, Tennessee.
they're going to be mixed in along the way, but it's not as bad as last year, I'll say
They have 2 road games. Then they have a run of Drake May into Bo Nix into J.J. McCarthy.
But
if that defense can't beat those guys, they're never going to win a game in the history of the Jets franchise.
Here's the thing, newsflash. The defense has been a top 5 defense for a couple of years now, and they've lost to some pretty bad quarterbacks.
To rookies?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
To rookies. Okay. I don't know. That seems like. I mean, who do you guys want to play? Arkansas, there's no other There's no other teams to schedule here. Sorry, Jets. You got the Cardinals sitting there. You're fine.
Easy.
Sorry, we didn't get anything done there.
We'll get to it next hour.
Right.
I feel confident about that. Thank you, CeeLo. Coming up, we do have to get to something we saw yesterday. Is it a big deal? We'll tell you yes or no next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Can we throw the poll question up? Can Caleb Williams match C.J. Stroud's rookie year? Did you just scoff?
Come on. You're going to give me, that's way too high a bar. That's way too
Why? He's got like the expectations coming in, I think, are high on Caleb Williams.
I don't know if there's an over-under, but it's got to be. The Vegas line cannot be what C.J. Stroud did. Now, C.J. Stroud missed a couple games, so his numbers are a little bit depressed. But in 15 games, he threw for 4,100 yards, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. If Caleb Williams can do that, oh, my God. In Chicago, I mean, he'd already be the franchise leader in about 7 categories.
DJ Moore basically is. It's just really funny.
I think it's a great poll question. I just think if people are rational, they will say no.
Hall of Fame game tonight. It's going to be the Bears and the Texans, but we are not going to see either quarterback, unfortunately, in this matchup, but you understand it. Meanwhile, yesterday, what we thought could have been maybe a tight game ends up, well, not really. The USA men's basketball team took care of South Sudan. South Sudan did cover, so if you had some action on the game, maybe you got lucky there. We have a couple questions. Is this a big deal? Is this not a big deal? And Ryan Botchers and EJ's at the home studios today. Amanda's in with us as well. Ryan's going to read us a couple questions. Perloff and I will tell you, is it a big deal or is this not a big deal? What's up, Ryan?
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue right now is the question mark around Steph Curry. 1 of 9 from the floor for South Sudan. 0 of 6 from 3 after kind of a rough game for Serbia, 3 of 7 from 3. Only 11 points in that one. Should we be worried about Steph Curry's struggles in the Olympics so far?
I'm going to tell you the truth, guys. It crossed my mind. Now, Olympic basketball, very different. Steph Curry's never played Olympic basketball. But you think someone of his caliber would have been able to adjust pretty easily to the international game. I don't think this is going to be like the cliff where Steph Curry falls off all of a sudden. But I have noticed, Perloff, it has been particularly bad for Steph Curry. This has been a rough transition for him to the international game. So, I think big deal.
So when you say big deal, do you mean like carry over into the NBA season? That's, I think, is the question here. Because I don't think it does. I think that, you're in an all-star game. It's different. If you've been on a team where you're on the Warriors and you're the man, you have much more confidence in your shot. When you have a three-pointer and you see LeBron on the wing, it's like, oh, man, should I pass it to LeBron? I'll take this shot. It's just harder to get your game going.
Steph Curry wasn't playing on an all-star team when he had Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson in his prime and Draymond in his prime. That basically felt like an all-star team, and he was fine.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't worry about him. Obviously, Steph's older. Like, I don't think anyone thinks the Warriors are going to win another title, but he was awesome last year. So I think he's still going to be awesome next year. I'm not worried about this. I don't think it translates.
What's next, right?
Okay. Just one game after Jason Tatum was benched for the Team USA, Joel Embiid, the only player to not play a single minute or even second for Team USA. Should we be worried about this at all?
You're the 76ers fan here, Pearl. I'll let you take this one.
First of all, it was so painful to watch him in the first game, just the anchor that he is to Team USA. And Steve Kerr said he's going to start him against Puerto Rico. Don't. He is not meant for this. He is not an international. I want to see people running up the floor and dunking. I don't want to see him plodding up and down. He doesn't look fully in shape. He was coming off an injury in the postseason. Just sit it out, Joel. I don't know what they're doing here. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about this, and I'm a Sixers fan.
Yeah, none of these benchings mean jack squat. I really think this was a matchup thing. South Sudan was a team that did like to play fast, shoot a lot of threes. Like, Joel Embiid's going to get cooked if he's out there. I think it was just purely matchup. I don't think there's anything to this.
Well, wait till you see him. I disagree. Wait till you see the garbage game he's going to put up against Puerto Rico.
Probably. But here's the thing. Embiid can't catch a break. Like, he gets a lot of criticism in this country during the NBA season. Now he's got to be in France where he's getting booed every time he touches the basketball. Like, there's no reprieve for him because obviously he spurned the French team to play for Team USA. So the home crowd is very angry at Joel Embiid. It's like, even on his summer vacation, he's getting booed. Can
we let people in on our production call last night? EJ asked, does this mean anything like about the expectation for the Sixers that they're one of the NBA favorites? I looked at the odds. They're third in NBA odds to win the title. To me, that is the most insane set of odds I've ever heard in my life.
Bet against them.
You can't really. How do you fade them? You can't short those bets. I mean, honestly, they are the third. The 76ers haven't seen the conference title since Dr. J was there. What are we talking about? How is that team going to win the NBA title?
Well, you won the offseason.
Just watch the Puerto Rico game. Watch Joel Embiid America and tell me that guy is going to lead you to that NBA title.
What's next, Ryan?
So as the primary ball handler for Team USA, LeBron James is, of course, going to have to make all the passes. He had 6 turnovers in the win versus South Sudan. Anything important in this one?
I don't think it's a big deal. LeBron looks unreal in these Olympics. He really does. In terms of the dunking, the energy, he looks 10 years younger. I don't know what this portends for the next season, but if J.J. Redick's not an outright disaster and if Anthony Davis is healthy, I don't know. I'm starting to get real excited for what could be a fun LeBron season. The Bronny aspect of it, maybe he has him a little rejuvenated. Who knows? It's not like he ever went anywhere. It's like, don't call it a comeback. But he looks really spry. Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I like the turnovers. At least he's trying to do some fancy stuff, some highlight plays. I honestly think I'm really high on the Lakers. I think they lose to the Nuggets in 6 in the first round instead of 5 this year. Look at you. Yeah, I think. Wow. I think they add a game to that series. What credit you're giving them? Yeah, I disagree with you in the sense that it'll be a fun LeBron year, but I'm not scared of that team because they didn't really do anything that they needed to do this offseason. He does look amazing, and I don't mind the turnovers. Yeah, he's trying to make this an entertaining product, and he's one of the only guys out there doing that. I've got a theory now. This will be my LeBron theory from here on out. This season will heretofore be known as LeBron James empty the tank season. I think this is it. I think this is the last one. Okay. I think that he came to do what he wanted to do, which is get Bronny into the league. He did that. We're going to get the highlight moment of the two of them playing together. I think this is the LeBron empty the tank season, give it everything he's got, and then retire. Yes, EJ. But then why did he sign a 3-year deal? Why did he say he's playing? Why did he say he's playing for 3 more years? Then? Guys, you can't believe everything you read. You're part of the media. Is this a follow-up to your Last Dance, Golden State? Well, that one. Feels like it. I did say last year I thought was the last dance for Golden State, and then Steve Kerr signed a 10-year contract. Kind of threw a little cold water. I hope LeBron wins the title so I can sit here and say Michael Jordan was still better, just to see you guys, the LeBronites, try and use this. Yeah, LeBron might win 5 titles, but it's taken him 36 years to do it. He does look good in these finals in Team USA. And honestly, thank God, because if they didn't have LeBron out there balling, there would be not a single play. Who else would you possibly tune in for on Team USA other than LeBron James? Well, Bam Adebayo's looking good. Kevin Durant. Bam Adebayo. Well, that's unfortunately, Steph Curry's not giving us what we're used to with Steph Curry. I need to see Anthony Edwards do some dunk contest stuff. Otherwise, if you're going to give me Bam Adebayo... Perloff, the closing lineup has both Drew Holiday and Derek White in it. These are the closers. This is we feel like a mid-major. This is not what I expected. Devin Booker, efficient play? No, I need to see some dunks, Maggie. Yeah. Oh, LeBron's there for you, and that's about it. 855-212-4227. Coming up, the one NFL team that's getting overhyped.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Get our first look at C.J. Stroud tonight. Unfortunately, he'll be on the sideline of the Hall of Fame game. Hey, welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. So I'm sure a couple in-game interviews is about all we're going to get. Yeah. But, Perloff, we talked about Caleb Williams. We're asking the question, can he match what C.J. Stroud did in his rookie year? Because Stroud's rookie season was nothing short of phenomenal. Now, here's the question when it comes to the Texans. Are we overhyping this team? Are we not leaving any room or wiggle room at all that there could be even a small step backwards, either for Stroud in that, mythological sophomore slump, or the fact that this team, which was shot out of a cannon last year, may have overachieved a bit in year one and may regress a bit in year two?
Don't rain on my parade, Maggie. Texans, baby, let's go. When you say overhype, are they going to struggle in the AFC title game, or are they just going to blow out the Ravens? Let's go, Houston. What makes you think they are overhyped? I feel like they are the perfect formula for going further, in the sense they have a rookie quarterback, so they can just spend away around him, which they did this offseason. They have so much talent everywhere. Their schedule gets ridiculously hard. That's a problem, I will admit. But generally, there's just no reason to have any negativity. I can't think, except for the idea that maybe last year was too fast, there's not a spot on this team when I look at their roster where I have the slightest bit of concern. They're solid all the way through.
Yes, so there's always one team that comes in, or there's often one team that comes in and it feels like a no-brainer, and then something happens or things happen and all of a sudden it doesn't look as rosy. And I think to not, leave any possible room for a C.J. Stroud sophomore slump, I think would be kind of crazy, because you're going to have defensive coordinators who have now been spending an entire offseason trying to figure out how can we disrupt C.J. Stroud, their offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, and what can we do? Do they have a zag in mind? Now, they brought in Stephon Diggs, and I think that was a really smart move. Stephon Diggs helped Josh Allen go to a new level when he got to Buffalo. And by the way, Stephon Diggs became a first-team All-Pro when he got to Buffalo as well. Stroud isn't that same kind of quarterback, though. He doesn't need the same kind of thing from Stephon Diggs that Josh Allen did, and Diggs is obviously older. But I do, yes, you're right. On paper, everything lining up. However, the NFL doesn't always go that way.
Wait, but who are the quarterbacks who have sophomore slumps are just hurt? I mean, it's not like, this feels more like Joe Burrow, as soon as he gets on the field, he's going to be fine. Who's the guy that you're saying that came out like a house on fire, then came back to earth?
Well, there are notable sophomore slumps when it comes to quarterbacks. Matt Ryan notably had one.
Matt Ryan?
From year one to year two. Sam Bradford was a sophomore slump guy from year one to year two.
Was there some, I don't remember those particular seasons. Were there injuries around them? Were there other reasons? How would Matt Ryan not get better from year one to year two? I don't even understand. C.J. Stroud had never even had a full training camp. He's 22 years old. He should be better on paper.
Yes, that's why we say it all the time, but sophomore slumps do happen. Tim Couch was the one guy who did have a sophomore slump that was mostly due to an injury.
Well, Tim Couch was just bad.
Well, but he was thought of as a savior and actually did have a good rookie season, and then second year he did not.
I can't imagine C.J. Stroud. I mean, here's the thing. There's so much support around him. And Bobby Slowick, I think it was a good thing that he didn't get hired. He's a hot name. D'Amico Ryans, I think, will even be better this year. I see no reason they wouldn't be better, except for the schedule. Because how do you match up with everybody?
What do you mean?
You have so many weapons there. You have so many weapons. Their offensive line, if they stay healthy, they got all pros on the offensive line. You have a million guys, options for C.J. Stroud. He seems to be a really smart quarterback who just knows where to put the ball. And the defensive line is terrifying. You got Will Anderson on one side and Daniil Hunter on the other. Then you have Derek Stingley at cornerback. And your linebackers might be your best unit of the whole team.
So are you picking them to go to the Super Bowl?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it. It's the end of July. I'm not going to...
It's August 1st today.
I said, darn it. Man, this is coming up fast, this Super Bowl pick. I'm definitely, after last season, February, I was like, okay, everyone's going to at least think about the Lions versus the Texans in the Super Bowl. They're the mirror images, just wild talent, young, which means that the Lions and the Texans probably will not play in the Super Bowl because it never goes.
That's the thing.
But that's
you can't go with the crowd on this
That's
stuff.
just a general, it never happens that way thing. You actually, I need more actual reasons. the Ravens game at the end of the season in the playoffs, that was alarming. Felt like they had no idea what Lamar Jackson's game was, which was bizarre because DeMeco Ryans was a great defensive coordinator.
And Stroud was overwhelmed.
The whole offense never really got, and first of all, they never got the ball back. Baltimore had like a 9-minute drive because the defense just was not ready for that game. So, yeah, and that wasn't their only offensive touchdown, a special teams play. I understand, but they did look amazing against Cleveland, and that was a Myles Garrett-led Cleveland defense. It was really good, and C.J. Stroud destroyed them.
Well, wasn't it also 2 Joe Flacco pick sixes in that game? So,
I mean, look at.
For Cleveland. So
it felt like Houston's offense looked pretty darn good in that game.
Buying the hype on the Houston Texans, 855-212-4227. I feel like I have to leave some wiggle room that this is not going to go as perfectly planned out as we all think. Now, you mentioned the schedule. Mm-hmm. It seems to me there's about 2 different places where this schedule gets very tough for Houston. Mm-hmm. You can start at week 5. So they're Buffalo. At New England shouldn't be bad, but then at Green Bay, division game with Indy, at the New York Jets, home for Detroit, at Dallas, and then 2 more division games to finish that out, Tennessee and Jacksonville. And then out of the bye week, they're one of those teams that's doing the 3 games in 10 days tap dance, where they're going to play on Sunday, December 15th against the Dolphins, Saturday, the 21st at Kansas City, and then Wednesday, December 25th, only 4 days later at Baltimore. That is tough.
Well, I like having that Miami game late in the season. That's the, second half Miami. That's where you want to see Miami on your schedule. Yes. Yeah, I mean, listen, if they're really this good, then that schedule will not daunt them. Yeah, Detroit away from home is a different team. There's just a lot of things that are not horrible here. Yeah, it's a first-place schedule. Here's the question. Is the AFC South going to be any good this year? That is always a valid question. If those teams are not good, listen, the Colts, how many games are Anthony Richardson going to play? Are the Jags? The Jags did not add in a lot of talent to a team that struggled last year. And then the Titans are just a crapshoot. So you could feast on that, and that could support you as your Texas bet, even with that very difficult schedule.
855-212-4227. I want to say good morning to everyone who is hanging out with us on social media. That's where you can follow along with the show. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network, and on X at Maggie Gray. What else are you expecting from the Hall of Fame game tonight? Very little.
Well, so who are the inductees? I always like what shape are the inductees in is the fun game.
So catty.
I know I've seen a lot of Dwight Freeney interviews. He was on the Adam Schefter podcast. He is great. I don't know why he's not in the – is he in the media?
Who, Freeney?
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit. He might have a pod.
Yeah, everybody has
a Dwight Freeney pod.
He's really cool. But, yeah, it's not a great Hall of Fame class. Like, I don't think we're going to have an all-time moment. I haven't watched – do you watch those inductions? Is that something you're into?
I generally get the recap on social media after.
Because they're quite long,
well,
right?
They try to put a cap on them, I think.
And everyone looks so hot. It feels like a graduation.
It is. It's definitely got that vibe.
I mean – I always find it like, oh, you're like, football here, football here, football's here, football's here. Then you tune into the Hall of Fame and you're like, oh, this is so disappointing.
So one thing I would love to see at one point from the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. So it's going to be Steve McMichael, Devin Hester, Julius Peppers, Andre Johnson, Dwight Freeney, Patrick Willis, Randy Gradishar, and no coaches or other contributors were elected. So there you go. I wish at one point someone would buck the trend where instead of going chronologically when they thank people, I grew up in a small town in Texas. I then went to high school at so-and-so and then college and then the pros and blah, blah. Can someone start backwards or do something? Medias race, like give us in the middle. I don't know. It's just I can't do that thing again where you just like, no one would have expected me, just this small town guy from South Carolina. How could I have made it to the league? It's like, well, I don't know, we're kind of familiar with you now. Like, we're not all that shocked. Like LeBron James does this, not to make it about him or basketball. Well, he'll be like, I'm just a kid from Akron. It's like, you're 6'8". You're a physical freak. Like, you're not. You're like, have the perfect combination of genetics and grit. that got you to this place.
A quick question, man.
Yeah.
What on earth are you talking about right now?
I want something
what is
different
this strange
from the
rant
speeches.
on the order of Hall of Fame
And to be
induction
honest,
speeches.
You're the writer around here. You should be leading this charge even more than me.
I don't even know. You're like, you want somebody to go in reverse chronological order? Like, that's going to make the Hall of Fame watchable? What
You
do you
want Chris Nolan to write the scripts?
Yes, somebody start in an alternate universe. You guys love this stuff, this Marvel. Can we, or just start the day you retire? I walked off the field, and the moment I walked off, I thought this. Not, hey, I was born in a small town in California. It's like, oh my gosh, my eyes are going to roll back in my head. I'm so bored already. Yes, EJ.
I know you have said that you wanted to be a sports consultant for politicians who can't get sports figures right.
Yeah.
I do not think you'll be a speechwriter, Maggie. I just got to say with this take, I'm sorry.
Really? I'm bored.
This is
for
weird. No, I just feel
Like-
I feel like a lot of people who are watching the Hall of Fame know how their NFL careers ended, or knows how their NFL careers went. I think to start a speech with Peyton Manning saying, "Hey, when I beat Tom Brady, that was awesome," you'd be like, "Okay, that'd be weird."
Now you
right?
got me. Now I'm hooked.
What? We've
Make the
heard
whole
him talk
thing.
about that a million times.
Now let's make the whole thing about Brady. Just make it about one moment, that'd be cool. Something. Just change it up. How many sports memoirs have we read? Some better than others. Every single one starts the same way. And it's always with somebody.
But the rule of sports memoir, you always start with the peak moment. You do a chapter on the big game, and then the second chapter is always a childhood.
Not everybody's using that formula.
I'm almost sure I've never seen a biography that starts when I was 6 years old.
Oh my gosh, it's just tough.
And
all I'm asking is for a little creativity. And yes, my side consulting business of being a sports political consultant, because politicians always step in it in the stupidest ways when it comes to sports. These should be the easiest layups for politicians. They get it wrong consistently.
There was a case where a guy went backwards. Terry Bradshaw famously went in to the Hall of Fame, and he had Vern Lundquist, his announcing partner, introduce him. He's like, he's the best partner I've had. He ignored all the other Steelers. He's like, and he talked about his broadcasting life.
Beautiful. See, wasn't expecting that. Didn't know about
openly terrible. It is the most panned decision in the history of the Hall of Fame. And by the way, you want Andre Johnson to go up there and start talking about his 2014 trainer or something? What do you think you don't think that would be just as boring? That would be even more boring.
No, I think it'd be inspired, quite frankly.
Devin Hester. My last game in 2016.
Yeah, my last game in 2016.
0 targets.
Yeah, my stats were
falling
falling
off
off
badly.
badly.
A little too long, but
I
that's
lost
all
to the
right.
Falcons.
Who could forget that fateful day?
I think we have to. I think we have to make Maggie sit there and watch the Hall of Fame speeches.
I won't make it. I mean, do I get some kind of 6-pack or some kind of a bottle of whiskey?
If they went in reverse chronological order, you think that would make it easier?
I just change it up. Give me something different, You
aren't even watching these. How do you not know? For all we know, they're doing something bizarre out there. Everyone's doing these little weird things. The guy's singing or bringing up who and who. It's always boring. It's like a graduation. Have you ever been to a graduation?
I went to my own.
It's always hot. It always goes
Amanda
on too long.
just graduated.
Was it hot and went on too long?
It was horrific. I mean, we were out there in these red and black robes for far too long with no shade. It was unbelievable.
Every graduation in the history of time has been, and the Hall of Fame induction is just basically a high school graduation in Canton.
That never ends. Who was your keynote speaker, Amanda? Amanda just graduated from St. John, so congratulations.
I don't even remember.
Really?
Listen, he was a very good speaker, but he had a moment. He was rambling a bit. He was like a life coach or something like that. I can't even. I don't know.
He might want to think of a new career.
He was speaking at some point, and then I think my entire row just kind of looked at each other, and we went, what is he talking about?
All right. A quick Google search here shows that it may be a gentleman by the name of Jim Zilkowski, founder, president, and CEO of the international nonprofit organization Built On.
Yes. And I remember this moment distinctly because my friend sat behind me in the row behind me, and we just turned and looked at each other, and we just turned right back and tried not to laugh. He was a great guy, though.
Yeah.
Great. Inspiring message, but he said at one point, I know you don't remember anything from your classes at all. And we all just went, oh, How did you know?
Well,
Yeah.
he's not wrong.
My college had the best, though. You have to admit, the one exception to boring, Roger Federer was the Dartmouth speaker. That is a cool speaker, and his speech was amazing, actually.
Yeah, no, he really was.
People are quoting it ever.
For I don't know anyone. We were hoping for a J. Cole, a Meta World Peace moment.
Oh, yeah. Wait, did J. Cole go to St. John's? No.
Yeah.
He did? Wow.
J.
That
Cole's
would be a speaker.
Our guy, yeah. But we were hoping for one of those moments, and then
Meta World Peace, now that would be.
That would have been so fun. That would have been great.
Maggie, do you remember yours?
Yeah, it was Andy Rooney, the 60 Minutes correspondent, who said that women don't belong on the sidelines. And I was very much trying to go into sports broadcasting as a career. And I was like, wow, this is the least inspiring thing I've ever
Did he sit
seen.
up there and go, what's the deal with this podium?
Yeah. His granddaughter actually went to GW, and so I think that's how they booked him. And she was this diehard sports fan, and he didn't say it at the commencement speech. He said it at a different place, that women don't belong on the sidelines, or what are the women doing down here? I was like, solid booking, GW. I'm so glad that we paid $100,000 for this.
Andy Rooney might be the most impersonated human being in the history of the planet.
Just like Harrison Butker.
Yeah.
It's pre-Butker. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, Andy Rooney, though, was a little different. He had a huge
He was just very
career.
curmudgeonly.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was viewed by millions and millions and millions of people every week. 60 Minutes was the biggest show for 20 years, and he brought it home with observations about staples. It was the weirdest thing in the history of the. You don't really remember the.
I
Andy
do
Rooney.
remember Andy Rooney.
Yeah, because it was the late game would go into 60 Minutes,
Yep.
and then they're like, oh, I got to do my homework. Then Andy Rooney would come up with the most random, weird speech at the end.
I mean, think about what he must have been making. I think about that sometimes. So he's doing 30. Was he doing what, a minute?
Yeah, a minute.
Probably a minute. And he was a columnist too, right? So he's probably just regurgitating something. Was he also a columnist?
I'm not sure his background. I have no idea.
So maybe he's doing a minute. I bet you Andy Rooney was making $1 million.
Oh, absolutely.
I bet. Not even about the speaking engagements and all the other side hustle stuff. How did he get on this?
No, he did have a huge career as a journalist back from World War II. Anyway.
Yeah.
Graduation speeches, by the way.
Yeah. That's why we got it.
EJ, who'd you have? Do you remember?
So I was going to say, so you guys are talking about how miserable graduations are. I think the hack is it's miserable if you are either on the floor or in the stands, because I presented Wolf Blitzer for Hunter College at my graduation, and it's air conditioned up there. There's food in the back. I was like,
humble brag right there.
This is a different experience than what they're making all these other students and these parents experience. And I know from a bad situation, because my Nana actually got dehydrated and then had to go to the hospital after my graduation because of how bad the situation was. My family has a weird curse where grandparents get sent to the hospital immediately after graduations. It happened to my mom.
Oh my God.
And then it happened to me. So I'm very nervous that my grandkids, either I or my fiance, will be sent to the hospital because this has been 2 generations. My mom, Penn State, her grandfather gets sent to the hospital for dehydration. My graduation, Hunter College, my Nana gets sent to the hospital for dehydration. So I'm going to be hooked on an IV 30 years from now when I go to my grandkids' graduation.
Yeah, just roll in the IV with a Gatorade tub ready to just dump over your head or something. Wow, that's crazy. I'm glad everyone's okay. Not Nana.
Yeah,
Nana.
It was, and she was so mad because she was furious at my grandfather for messing up my mom's graduation. So then she was like, "This is karma."
Yeah.
I gave your grandfather so much crap for not drinking and not being properly prepared for a hot day.
Yeah.
And now here I am in the hospital, and I've ruined my grandson's graduation. It was.
Did Wolf Blitzer say we have a situation? You better bring her to the room.
Sad on
no,
that.
he did not.
Wolf Blitzer's like, we have breaking news. EJ's Nana needs some help ASAP. Well, I'm glad she's fine.
Wow.
Ryan, who was it? Let's finish this off here.
No idea. And it was last year. We had some random doctor get an award, but I don't think we had a real speaker.
What?
Everybody
Cutbacks?
booed the president.
Yeah.
No idea. Yeah.
No idea.
That must have been a very boring
I was
speaker.
more worried because the guy I was sitting next to at graduation drank a whole bottle of beer before getting to the seat. It was bigger than a bottle. I don't know what it's called, an eighth?
Like a 40?
A 40 ounce, yes.
Wow. At graduation.
Yep.
That's an aggressive move.
Nobody cared.
I don't think Ryan, you didn't grow up drinking 40s?
What do you hide that under the robe? A 40 is like,
it's
like sneaking in a bomb.
Well, I witnessed, the flask and the cap, so that was an interesting moment.
Yeah.
Well, all this adds to the dehydration.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was EJ's Nana drinking
Was Nana
that day?
nipping in a flask?
All right. Houston Texans. That's what this was all about.
How did we get here?
Well, because I railed against the Hall of Fame speeches. They could be better.
You should critique them.
Oh, my God.
Watch them and write where they went wrong.
Are you trying to give me homework?
Oh, my God.
It'd be funny.
Saturday night.
The only thing
doing that.
possibly more boring than a Hall of Fame speech is someone critiquing a Hall of Fame speech.
Now I kind of want to do it. Live tweet.
Especially this class. Like, oh, my God. This is not a class. You don't have a quarterback in there. You got Andre Johnson. Do you remember one thing Andre Johnson said his entire career?
No.
The guy never spoke.
I know.
I don't know what if he comes out there and he's just the zaniest guy of all time. Devin Hester's got some personality. Yeah, it's going to be tough. We should have Maggie. You should spend, and it takes like 9 hours to just critique, send notes out on the Hall of Fame speeches.
I'll rank them. How about that? I do that for Monday. A little stock up, stock down, all Hall of Fame speech edition.
Yeah. Or you could be like, Ryan, I don't even remember who my commencement speaker was.
Can I drink a 40 during it? 855-212-4227. Been a minute since I've had one of those. Okay, lots more to do, including, it is time for the M&P 500. We will do a little stock up, stock down, Olympic edition next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We're going to dive into yesterday's Olympic action. I'm sure there's something going on over in Paris right now as well. But first, we have headlines. And by the way, Maggie, I do not want to talk baseball at any point in the show today. I don't want to hear about it.
Oh,
don't want to hear from CeeLo is doing the updates. No baseball today. The sport doesn't exist in my mind.
Jeez, getting a little nervous, are we? You got the best record in the National League, a little sweep by the Yankees, and all of a sudden you want to run and hide?
It's not just a sweep. It's the oldest Phillies thing. It's like our bullpen stinks. I've been watching this for years, and to lose to these obnoxious Yankees, it's been a bad week.
Obnoxious Yankees. Wow.
Yes, I mean, and they weren't even actually obnoxious till Jazz Chisholm got here. Now he's cocky.
So because of him, the whole team's obnoxious now?
It's been here for 30 seconds.
That DJ LeMahieu who drove in 6 yesterday is the most obnoxious of them all.
Yeah, that guy has barely said 3 words.
Right.
Yeah, by the way.
His whole life.
Yeah, I feel like Jazz Chisholm is already the face of the Yankees. Am I crazy for that? He's just so much more fun than all the rest of those.
I mean, for now, it's been, 4 days? So
wait till he's in a Bryce Harper-like 3 for 32 slump.
Yeah.
See, that's why I didn't want to do baseball. Let's not talk about Bryce Harper.
Fact. It's just the facts. I didn't even opine there.
Went 0 for 14 in that series.
I'm aware.
Jeez.
Tough.
It's tough. It's tough. All right, well, last hour, we did Aaron Rodgers versus Robert Saleh. How about Aaron Rodgers versus his number one wideout, Garrett Wilson, sort of. So you had multiple cell phone videos the last few days of Rodgers and Wilson having, we'll call them animated sideline discussions during the early stages of training camp. Rodgers asked about that yesterday, attempting to downplay it.
Those are good conversations. They might appear to be much more heated than they are, but there's usually a smile on our face afterwards, at least one of us.
See, even there, at least one of us. And if you've seen the videos, I feel like Rodgers is usually the one smiling at the end. So it's almost like he's got to take that little dig there. Whether it's good-natured or not, he's still got to let you know, well, I'm trying to end it the right way.
Yeah, he's not exactly a one-upper, but he's a last word guy. Maybe that's Rodgers. We don't know him well enough to know that.
Seems that way a
kind of
little bit,
feels
though.
like the last word.
Yeah, and he did say, though, it goes both ways. I'm me, he's him, and we'll figure it out.
You know, he's got to get on my page, but I got to get on his page too, because he's got a whole book that I need to understand fully of skill set and ability and feel and rhythm and all the different things that he does out there.
Especially if he's going to skip these preseason games or be held out of them or only play a series or two in the final game, which he did last year ahead of the season opener. So obviously a lot of talent for Garrett Wilson, and he's made the most of some pretty bad quarterback play for the Jets the last couple of years. But those two are kind of working out the kinks in training camp so far.
Yeah, I like what Wilson had to say, where he said, he's been here for like a year and a half, but we really haven't been on the field together at all. Right. So we'll see.
Yeah.
What else is going on?
Something to keep an eye on. Quickly on the Olympic stuff, just before you guys get into it a little bit, USA men's hoops did put away South Sudan with authority this time around, 103-86. Bam Adebayo, 18 points, 7 rebounds. Jason Tatum actually got into this one. He was in the starting lineup.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yes, and Joel Embiid took a seat this time around.
I mean, what would we all have done if Jason Tatum hadn't been able to play, yet they still won? This was, again, the biggest, most ridiculous thing ever. That people thought that Jason Tatum was like severely wronged in the first game.
I'm betting on the Celtics because they're going to be PO'd after this disaster of an Olympics. Man, they're going to...
Derek White's getting a lot of burn. Andrew Holiday, what do you mean?
Well, yeah, but those guys are steady eddies. Like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are going to be on a mission. They're going to tear through the NBA next year, and I cannot wait to see it.
I think Jaylen Brown's actually got his sights set on like bigger things. Like I feel like he's going to try to take down like Nike or something. He is
I think
upset.
He's going to come out. He's going to be dunking on the weak Eastern Conference all season. They're going to win 75 games, and then just if they keep it together, this could be the repeat champion because of it. I'm all. You think it's a nothing headline? I'm all in. I think the anger that is being created in Boston is going to fuel that team to the first repeat in 6 years.
They're repeating because he sat out the first game of the Summer Olympics or was benched in the first game.
Well, that's just enough. I mean, Jaylen Brown's anger is going to be so palpable.
Right,
it is going to be like a force of nature. But I think Tatum's going to be a little PO too because even when he played, he didn't get to do anything. I mean, how many shots did he have? 4.
I'm glad you had the answer because I certainly did not.
Old man LeBron's got the ball. Wait till the Celtics get a hold of the Lakers. They're going to beat them by 40.
I feel like he's hired some kind of private investigator to follow Grant Hill to try to get dirt on him. Like Jaylen Brown is just like, everyone's going down. Yes, EJ, you wanted to chime in on this?
I just find the funniest thing about this Team USA experience has been LeBron James actively recruiting Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid to play for this team, only for both of those guys to have been benched for whole games and for him to be the biggest star on the team.
Like, what do you mean
this is the most Machiavellian LeBron thing I've ever seen. Those guys think, oh, yeah, LeBron's going to help us out. He's going to be our OG. And he's like, step aside, young fella. This is my show. Guys, I find it fascinating. As soon as Team USA lost last year, the first thing we heard was LeBron's calling Embiid and Tatum, getting ready to play next year, and those guys are riding the pine.
Wait, did that really happen? I have no idea.
That's great.
But would Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid be on the team anyway? Like, they need LeBron to call?
Well, to your point, Embiid shouldn't be on the team if he's not healthy, and he's definitely not.
Right. But he's an MVP. Like, that was a no-brainer to invite him. Right.
Well, I think they wanted to join because LeBron was playing. Like the idea was that once they lost, LeBron's going to grab. Yeah,
they could have said, "Hey, I'm not going to play."
Yeah,
but wait.
It's like, come play with me. And two of those guys aren't playing with him. They're on the bench. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Celtics are not going to see the Lakers in the finals, so it really doesn't matter. But it is going to be. I'm telling you, EJ, you're a Knicks fan. Doesn't this make you upset because the Knicks were supposed to? Oh man,
I'm gleeful at this.
Yeah.
You keep thinking that the Celtics are gonna be all so angry and they're gonna be all motivated. I think this is all wrong. I think that these are guys that all were definitely looking for their flowers. And Jason Tatum kind of said that. He said this was a humbling experience after the contract, the finals win,
right?
Cover of Sports Illustrated,
right?
Went down the whole thing. Yeah,
humbling experience is something that precedes 74 wins. Yeah, that's what you want.
Oh no, I think this is gonna lead to guys maybe saying, wait, what? And maybe they won't be quite as united. Like, this was a team last year. Like, you saw how unselfish they were.
Yeah.
And now you have like guys saying, hey, where's my flowers? Where's my playing time? Where's this and that? That was not the Celtics last year. So, yes, bring as much dissension as possible so that the Knicks, who are the Villanova Knicks, they can come together. I think your Sixers are going to give them a challenge. I don't think the Celtics had the best record in the East. I'm going to say that right now.
Celtics won 64 last year. The all-time record is 73 for the Warriors. If Sam Hauser takes off like I expect him to, I mean, nobody cares about that. I'm telling you, this team is good. This is the first repeat.
Maybe they found a common enemy. What else you got, CeeLo? We got time for one more.
All right. I'll just finish it with the little Olympics here. We were on Olympics already. So 5-on-5 basketball is going well for the men and the women.
Yeah.
The 3-on-3, not so much. The men lost to Poland. They're 0-2, and the U.S. women 0-2 as well, including a loss to Azerbaijan. I don't know if I'm saying that properly.
You are.
So we haven't figured out 3-on-3 hoops. That's a problem. And Katie Ledecky did win her 8th career gold medal, won the 1,500-meter freestyle with a new Olympic record, and then confirmed she has no plans to retire, wants to compete in the LA Summer Games in 2028 when she will be 31. So good on her.
Whoa.
I mean, why would she retire?
Yeah, she's killing it still.
So
Amazing.
could she catch Phelps' number of medals? I don't even know how many she
Total
has.
number?
What is he? We said this yesterday. What does he have? 26?
28, I thought.
Oh man, we had all these numbers yesterday. 28. You're right. And she's got.
Let's see where she's at. No, she's got a long way to go. She's at 12.
Yeah.
I mean,
8 gold medals.
Think about how, you want to do golds. Phelps has 23. She's got 8. So, I mean, think about how accomplished she is. And she's, not even sniffing where you
Yeah,
but also, remember, Dara Torres, you could maybe swim to your 40. So, swimming. I don't know if you're winning gold.
He also was swimming in a lot more events.
Right.
That's the thing. She doesn't have the events.
Right.
The one she dominated last night didn't exist for half of her career. I heard them say last night. That's the thing with Michael Phelps. And, listen. You need a lot of events to win 28 gold medals or whatever.
He was on a number of relay teams, obviously, as well.
She's going to be a relay tonight, I think. A chance for another gold, I believe. CeeLo, thank you. 855-212-4227. We will do the M&P 500 next. Stock up, stock down, Olympic style. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Always makes me think of Napoleon Dynamite. Great movie. Okay, let's do a little stock up, stock down. Let's hit the M&P 500.
The M&P 500 on the Infinity Sports Network.
I realized we wanted a way to really talk about the Olympics a little bit more because Perloff and I are really into it. So let's hit it with a little M&P 500. Perloff, whose stock is up after yesterday's action?
Okay, I don't know if anyone else watched this silly thing. There was a doubles match yesterday. Rafael Nadal, maybe his last match of the clay in France, teamed up with Carlos Alcaraz. They went against a team that I now worship. This is my favorite American team of all teams. American double specialists. Let me get their names. Austin Krajicek and Rajiv Ram. Rajiv Ram is 40. Actually retired 5 years ago and now has come back. Austin Krajicek, whose career high was 94. These are two random dudes who look like they would be at the local court. They're the most amazing. They don't look like athletes at all. They're 35 and 40, and they whooped Alcaraz and Nadal. Go USA. It was the funniest thing. I don't know if you caught this.
I did. Oh, I did watch a little bit of it.
And it's actually might be Nadal's last time on that court, so that was kind of sad. But it was the funniest thing. Just Rajiv Ram, I can't believe he's out there. It's the most, a 40-year-old tennis player whooping on people is awesome.
Chemistry. It's all about chemistry.
I mean, I never played at that level. Is doubles such a different game that Carlos Alcaraz can't beat you? He's the best player in the world by a large margin.
Just gigantically different.
It's so bizarre to me.
And tennis is the ultimate individual sport, and then now you got to be playing off someone else, and it's I got it, you got it, nobody's got it. Doubles is
but you got Nadal and Alcaraz on clay, and they can't beat these random guys who look like they should be playing in a Jersey suburb. Okay.
All right, my stock up. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, but it's got to be Katie Ledecky. Now, she won the 1,500-meter freestyle by 10 seconds. That's eternity in Olympic time. 10 full seconds. And I thought what was interesting is she told Michael Phelps, apparently, who's doing some commentary for NBC, that she's sort of let her mind wander. And he's like, I've never heard of this in my life. She's like, yeah, I started thinking about all the people who sort of helped me get to where I am and started kind of going through their names. I'm like, did you also think about what you were eating after the race and like whether or not you could catch the latest Game of Thrones? Like what? Your mind wandering as you just cruise to another Olympic gold.
There was this great graphic right before the race they did on NBC last night. Usain Bolt is arguably the most dominant Olympic athlete ever because he won by so far in the 100. Katie Ledecky's level of dominance is even higher. Like she's 3% higher than the rest of the competition regularly. She might be the most, I know Phelps is the most decorated swimmer, but she just is a hammer. It's amazing to watch.
Yeah, crazy. All right, if we got to do stock up, then we got to do stock down. Who is down after yesterday's Olympic competitions?
You guys aren't going to like this. EJ, put your head up for this one. You're not going to like this one. Team USA men's basketball. If Bam Adebayo is going to be your leading scorer, then no one's going to watch this darn thing. There is not a more boring player to lead Team USA in the history of Olympic basketball than Bam Adebayo. Bam Adebayo's Q rating is a 0. That's just like you have LeBron James, you have Steph Curry, you have all these all-time guys, all these all-time guys. I do not want to see Bam Adebayo with offensive rebounds carrying Team USA. I'm not going to watch anymore.
He was shooting?
I mean, yeah, like turnaround jumpers. He's just boring. He's like a 6'9" center. I don't even know what position he is. Like, come on, give me some pizzazz. We were talking yesterday about the Dream Team versus Redeem Team.
Yeah.
We got Bam Adebayo's weak side rebounding leading this Team USA. This is boring.
I know, but they won. What did they win by? 16 points yesterday? Something like that? I mean, they're
16 points against South Sudan? That you're bragging about that?
Listen, South Sudan's a great story. I think LeBron is carrying the excitement for everybody. Steph Curry has not been that exciting because he can't hit a shot. Kevin Durant has been exciting, but it's still Kevin Durant's game, which is like the mid-range game. And
he hit a bunch of threes the other day.
Yeah,
right.
The Slim Reaper and all that stuff. Like Durant doesn't play above the rim generally. So, yeah, it's going to be LeBron.
I had this talk with Ryan over there. If it was Tyler Hero of the Heat, now that would be interesting. Like, we need a more polarizing player.
I was going to say Tyler Hero.
Tyler Hero, I've thought about it. No.
If Tyler Hero was out on the court jacking up threes for Team USA,
we'd be losing.
We'd be watching. Tyler Hero's a baller.
No, I know, but he's inconsistent. Like, that's the whole thing.
Tyler Hero would whoop South Sudan. He's a great player. He's probably he's like 6th man of the year, wasn't he?
I get he's 6th man of the year, and they were looking for every possible trade to get him out of Miami.
At least he's interesting. Bam Adebayo is just steady. I don't need steady. This is the Olympics. Give me some highlights.
I don't know. Yesterday you're talking about, man, I love the Dream Team because of Karl Malone. I mean, we're talking about one of the more steady, boring, quote-unquote players of all time.
That's what you got out of our Dream Team. I love them because of Karl Malone. I was just noting that nobody could have covered Karl Malone.
Just saying, you wanted Karl Malone and David Robinson. You weren't exactly,
That was like
These are the most fundamentally sound people ever.
David Robinson was hitting his head on the rim. He was dunking so hard on people. David Robinson's 7 inches taller than Bam Adebayo. I just think you know what I mean. You have to tell. You cannot argue that there isn't a lack of buzz around Team USA men's basketball right now.
Yeah.
Even this is the most boring version of the LeBron team we've had.
I don't know about that, but probably. I guess I just don't like about this is the conversation is always about who didn't play versus who did play. And I find that's a very us thing to do. That's a very NBA where it's all about individuals and superstars and their feelings and egos and all of this stuff that, quite frankly, turns a lot of people off from the NBA. It's like, oh my gosh, Jason Tatum and Joel Embiid's feelings, were they hurt because they didn't play?
Because what else are you going to talk about? Oh man, that was a great 8-foot jumper by Bam Adebayo. Go USA. Nobody can watch that. It's not about winning. No. It's 100% not about winning. That's my point. Any Team USA can win. You have to be exciting.
Well, you just don't want to blow it, I think is the biggest thing. Okay. That's your stock down is just Team USA as a whole?
No. Bam Adebayo being the leading scorer.
I'm sorry, Bam Adebayo being the leading scorer. Okay. My stock down has come from Canadian soccer. We brought you the drone scandal. If you guys remember that, where the women's coach has been sent home. Some assistant coaches have been sent home. FIFA released some emails yesterday between this woman, Bev Priestman, and the analyst who was hesitant about spying on other teams, and also between the coach and a human resources official to discuss. This is actually in an email, you idiots. Quote, as discussed yesterday in terms of the quote-unquote spying conversation, I came off the meeting with clarity. You understood my reasons for being unwilling to do this work moving forward. They actually lay out the illegal spying in emails that FIFA found. FIFA's the most back-assward organization possible, and even they got to the bottom of this in about 45 seconds. Who lays out the cheating scandal in the company email? You deserve everything that comes your way, like all the bad things.
Yeah.
Just for being an idiot.
The issue is that they weren't caught quicker.
Yes.
Yeah.
The analyst who didn't get caught because they refused to participate in the drone spying scandal gave a bulleted list of reasons for not wanting to spy. Morally, my own reputation, being able to fulfill my duties on match day, and on and on and on. They implicate everybody. And even they're talking to HR about the spying scandal.
I had a friend who's Canadian who said, we just need quieter drones next time. Apparently the thing was like, you couldn't miss it.
Yeah, and maybe some emails that are going to, erase after a couple days. I don't know.
Can you just picture being at practice and you hear bzzz right over your head? Like, what is that?
How about the coach who's got sent home? Well, I think originally said she didn't know anything about it. Okay. As for scouting, it can be the difference between winning and losing, and all the top 10 teams do it.
Drones?
This is all in emails. Yes.
They all use drones.
Well, I don't know about drones, but about trying to find an edge when it comes to scouting.
All right. I'll go stock up again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did anybody see the feature where Snoop Dogg was on the train with the men's U.S. Basketball team?
No.
That is the funniest 5 minutes I've ever seen in my life. It's just amazing. Snoop Dogg walks onto the car with the U.S. and just makes LeBron legitimately laugh for 10 minutes. It is the most relaxed and fun I've ever seen LeBron. It was like real LeBron. It wasn't phony LeBron that we're so used to at this point.
Yeah.
It was just really cool to see Snoop hanging out with just going from player to player and making a joke and having them just laugh. It was cool to see those guys like relax and be themselves. There was like a picture of Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid playing cards.
So now they're interesting.
No, they're fun. This is the first glimpse I've seen of this team. It's just like having a good time because I don't know, for some reason, like you just said it in the last segment there, that it feels like they're just grinding to not lose this darn thing.
Without a doubt.
Where this was, oh my God, they actually are having fun. And this is a team of people who really like each other. Like it's a team. I never sensed that until I saw this bit. Like you never thought these guys are all like becoming best friends, and they are. Just like the original Dream Team, like Larry Bird and Patrick Ewing came away. Like oh my God, like Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid are now becoming friends.
Listen, we talked about this before they even left for the games, that the Olympics is generally the place where the super teams are formed. Like this is where the seeds get planted for, hey, I want to team up with you, and you and I should be teaming up. It's like a Kyrie, Kevin Durant thing before they went to Brooklyn. Some other teams have been formed. I think LeBron, Bosh, and Wade originally came out of an Olympics.
Is that where the banana boat guys come from? Is that how Wade and Chris Paul? But the thing about this team is like a lot of these guys are at the end of their career. Like there's no future super teams. Now, also, did the NBA change the rules to make it harder to form the super teams? So I'm not sure who the super team coming out of this is.
I don't know. I mean, Anthony Davis has probably got one more team in him. I think he's going to retire a Laker.
Super team or average super team? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, like LeBron. I think it's harder to form that kind of super team. And the real guys who are like Anthony Edwards takes a lot of energy on that bus. Like he's the star, I think. Like he's the guy right now. So we'll see what happens in his future. Right? Maybe somebody recruits Anthony Edwards. Did I say Anthony Davis?
No, you said Anthony Edwards.
Yeah. Maybe somebody recruits him out of Minnesota. So that's interesting. But Snoop is obviously dominating this Olympics. It's ridiculous. He's the MVP by a mile.
It's not even close. Snoop's like, you know how Taylor Swift has the Eras tour? Like Snoop should. I mean, this guy's been in our life for like 40 years now. When did Gin and Juice come out? Like Doggy Style must have come out in it was early 90s, right?
Yeah, it feels like it's been one giant era though. Has anything changed?
Yeah, it's kind of been the same note. Good point on that. Can I give you a feel-good story from the Olympics? I know we generally tend to be kind of cynical about these kind of things because, you know, I'm
already cynical about whatever story you're about to tell.
Well, it's easy sometimes to roll your eyes a little bit, but this one is actually quite cool. And our pal Michael Rosenberg from Sports Illustrated wrote about it. And it's about a boxer, and her name is Cindy, and I hope I'm getting this right, Gamba. And she's originally from Cameroon, but then she emigrated to the UK, to Great Britain, but she's not technically a citizen there. She's living with family. She has been since she's 11, but she's technically competing under the Olympic flag for refugees. So she's a refugee, and she is on the precipice, near the doorstep of becoming the first ever refugee who's going to win a medal at the Olympics, and she's a boxer, and a female boxer, and she had this big upset of a Canadian boxer, and now she's getting closer and closer to getting a medal, and it's an unbelievable story. Now, she can't actually compete for Cameroon. She left there and was seeking asylum, but not because she was fleeing any kind of war. It's because she's a lesbian. She's LGBTQ, which is illegal in Cameroon. Not finding a home in Cameroon, has yet to have citizenship in England and Great Britain. So she's fighting as a boxer under this refugee flag, and this would be the first medal ever for a refugee. What a story. I
watched some of her match last night. It was yesterday. She's really good, number one. But yeah, the whole refugee thing is.
You're in a 5-minute break.
plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show him how. Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show him how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. He hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. Hit a grounder to the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. To the shortstop, tried to make it to first, but he tripped over his own feet. Oh man, it was the worst. Jack was on the mound, his face turning red. Come on, Dad, get up, this game's far from dead. Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat. So if you see a little league and laughter fills the air, look for Andrew Bogusch, you might find him there. With a grin and a wink, he'll raise a drink on high, playing ball with Jack's team under the summer sky.
Andrew Bogusch had a plan on a sunny afternoon. Grabbed a bat and took the field under the summer moon. He said, Jack, let's show him how the Bogusch boys can play. But little did they know he had whiskey in his sway.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Jack's team was laughing as Dad took his stance, wobbling at the plate in a tipsy baseball dance. The coach was shaking his head, moms were all aghast, but Andrew Bogusch grinned, living in the past.
Oh, Andrew Bogusch swaying side to side with a bottle in his hand. He gave it a good try, swinging at the pitches, stumbling on his feet, drunk on the diamond in the summer heat.
Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
listening to us in Houston, listening to us in the Bay Area, listening to us in San Antonio, Texas. Hey, it's Maggie and Perloff. Welcome to the show. So glad to have you. We're not generally people, Perloff, who look back on things with a lot of regret, right? I mean, you just got to keep moving forward. Don't athletes teach us that all the time?
Definitely.
Right.
Roger Federer says, don't focus on the points you lost, just the points you can win.
Exactly. And with that in mind, as we bring back the multiverse today, we're going to comb over someone else's regret. Amanda, if we can have the multiverse music, please, let's hit it. How does it go, Pearl?
I don't remember the movie.
Exploring sports' biggest what-ifs and could-have-beens. Let's dive into the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff.
All right. This one comes to us from the one and only John Elway, who was on the Part of My Take podcast earlier this week. Probably you may have saw this. You may have seen it. John Elway was talking about the biggest regret he has as the general manager of the Denver Broncos is not drafting Josh Allen in 2018. Instead, they went with Bradley Chubb, your friend, and now proud to call my acquaintance, Case Keenum. They had just given him a contract in Denver, so he took over. And they had sort of struck out with some taller, big quarterbacks who had these sort of big arms, but not great accuracy.
Paxton Lynch, right.
Brock Osweiler, stuff like that. Okay, so John Elway says this is the big regret that he didn't take Josh Allen. I don't know why he also wouldn't regret not taking Lamar Jackson. I'm sure the regret goes both. But Josh Allen was at Wyoming, which was basically right in their backyard, and they passed on him. So the multiverse of Maggie and Perloff, where we explore sports what-ifs and what could-have-beens. What do you think would have happened if the Broncos had not made this mistake and they had actually selected Josh Allen with the 5th overall pick?
I think Josh Allen would not have had nearly as much success as he's had in Buffalo because weren't things crumbling all over Denver regardless of the quarterback decision? I feel like, for example, and I know that Denver team really well. I watched every snap. He's my buddy Case was there. Spent, I think, like 4 days at training camp there. Demaryius Thomas got really old and they had to trade him halfway through the season. He just lost it. And their other receiver was Emmanuel Sanders, who was really good, but he was getting a little older. So they had to restart their receiving core. They had a rookie offensive lineman, I think Garrett Bowles, who set the all-time record for holdings or something. There was a lot of turmoil around that team. The main problem was Vance Joseph was the head coach, and Vance Joseph is a good defense coordinator. He was a nightmare as a head coach. His game decision, he didn't have time to learn how to manage a game, and he would screw up things in the fourth quarter all the time. So that wasn't going to work. So they would have had to start over a coach again. And then they hired George Payton in 2020, who I'm sorry.
The GM.
As a GM, as a team builder, and he's made nothing but mistakes, really. I mean, he traded for Russell Wilson.
Then paid him.
He paid him so I just don't see like the infrastructure. Not that Buffalo is perfect by any means, but it seems like Buffalo did a lot of smart things to help Josh Allen. Why do we think John Elway would have done those things?
Well, it's not like the receiver cupboard was totally bare because
beyond bare.
Well, you had Cortland Sutton.
Cortland Sutton, a rookie, couldn't run a route to save his life.
Made the Pro Bowl. So I can't say that they had absolutely nothing. You would like to think that the Josh Allen tide could lift the boats here, but I think this would have been challenging, and I don't think Josh Allen would be. I don't know if he'd be the quarterback he is, but I don't think that they would have the type of, I say air quotes, success. The Bills obviously haven't won a Super Bowl, but they have been a perennial playoff team. You mentioned it with Vance Joseph. Vance Joseph, as a defensive coach, never had a top 13 defense, and the offensive rank was terrible when he was there. Then they go to Vic Fangio. Now, Vic Fangio did have 1 year where he had a top 3 defense and 1 year where he had a top 10 defense, but these are the offensive rank in terms of points allowed for other years with Vic Fangio. 2021, they ranked 23rd. 2020, they ranked 28th. 2019, they ranked 28th. Like, you had these defensive coaches who didn't have great defenses. And I think that would have been, you're asking a rookie quarterback or a very young quarterback to basically come and have to get in these, shootouts with every team. And I think that's just asking way too much. As you mentioned, Denver did not have the firepower. Meanwhile, the Bills have actually been more of a defensive first team. I know that's not how it's presented because Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs are getting so much attention, But 2019, the Bills defense, second in points scored, third in points allowed. 2020 was a little wonky year. COVID kind of messed everything up. 2021, they were number 1 defense in points allowed, yards allowed. 2022, they're number 2. 2023, they're 4th, yet they're down to third string guys all over the place. I think it allowed Allen to thrive a little bit more because they actually were very stout on the defensive side of the ball, ironically. And when Stephon Diggs came, it really opened up the offense for Josh Allen. So I kind of agree with you. I don't think that Josh Allen would be the guy we think of as like a successful quarterback in the NFL if he had been in Denver.
I'll tell you who he might be. Justin Herbert.
Maybe.
Except without the big numbers of Herbert. The problem also, too, if Josh Allen has had a pretty easy division the last 4 years, really, where I don't think he wouldn't have had a chance against the Chiefs if he was in Denver.
Yep, he came right in as Tom Brady was, of on the tail end and exiting the division.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I understand why John Elway said this, but John Elway just he did win that Super Bowl, and you can't take it away from him as an executive. But it felt like every move was wrong around him. Also, they were just decimated by injuries a few of those years. So you can't count on that. I don't know what was wrong. I just don't see it as having worked. But I understand why Elway said it. Yeah, there are so many. He went 7th in the draft, right? There's probably 6 other teams who ahead of him who said, man, I wish I had taken Josh Allen.
Well, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson are clearly the prizes from that 2018 quarterback class. It was Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Allen, Josh Rosen. Lamar Jackson went, at the end of the first round.
Yeah, in an open draft, who do you think would go first, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Probably Lamar.
Oh, my God. You know the NFL? The tall guy goes first every time.
Well, Baker Mayfield went first in this actual draft, and he was the smallest of all those guys.
And after that, they're like, we're never doing that again.
Well, then Bryce Young went number 1 overall. Well, he's the smallest of all of them. Kyler Murray's gone number 1 since then.
I just think of health. I think Josh Allen seems indestructible. He would definitely go higher. I think people would think he's more durable.
Well, I guess that's probably the only right. That'd be the one thing is that Lamar Jackson has had some injury stuff.
Yeah, because he's tiny. I mean, I think and. Yeah, maybe I'm right. You are right. There are a lot of tall guys who go, but I feel like if you did an NFL draft like the Justin Herberts and the Josh Allens, GMs are still like, oh, I want that huge guy who doesn't get hurt.
So the funny thing about John Elway admitting to your friend Big Cat and a PFT that not taking Josh Allen was his biggest regret as the Denver Broncos general manager. He said also, Perloff, in that interview, it's like we had taken these bigger quarterbacks. This is the biggest fear, I think, of any fan of a team is that the front office is being reactionary to their past mistakes without just evaluating the person in front of them. That annoys me so much as a fan when teams that I'm a fan of do things like that. Oh, we had an offensive coach. Now we got to hire a defensive coach. Oh, we took this guy from, this is the whole Ohio State quarterback thing. Dwayne Haskins didn't work out. May he rest in peace. So we can't take C.J. Stroud because he's just an Ohio State quarterback. I despise this level of thinking. And the fact that John Elway is willing to admit it, and he's one of the great quarterbacks of all time, and even he fell victim to this, is very, very frustrating because the fans are powerless when it comes to that stuff. It's like the bias that creeps in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But, yeah, I'm not sure that the quarterback is the only problem there in Denver. It felt like there were a lot of other issues. So whether he'd gone the right way or the wrong way, John Elway himself, too, seemed to be less engaged by the end. There were a lot of rumors he wasn't there all the time. Do you remember? I don't even know really exactly when the end was. Or
kind of faded out just after the pandemic.
He seemed to lose inch. I don't even know. He's officially gone, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's just a weird team. I'm not really sure what happened there since after the Super Bowl. I don't think Josh Allen was taking them anywhere. I don't think Bo Nix is taking them anywhere. I think there's just something a little off with them.
Well,
I know they have this super rich owner.
Sean Payton, right? Don't you hire him specifically to try to get the quarterback right?
But why didn't you bring in a new GM?
I have no idea. I think probably because Sean Payton actually has the power now in the building. I truly believe that because they traded for him to get him out of New Orleans, and I think they gave him the keys. And I think that George Payton, the GM now, is not the person who's really calling the shots.
Yeah, I guess so. But there's still so much rubble to sift through after the Russell Wilson trade because it killed your cap, it killed your drafts. So even Sean Payton. If Sean Payton is the most brilliant team builder of all time, I just think there's too much damage here for him to get out of this. Also, you got Kansas City sitting there, and then you got Harbaugh sitting there. I just think that he took the money, and this is not a team that's going to be turned around.
Ever.
Not with Payton. No, I don't think so. Do you think that he has time to do it?
I actually think he's there as long as he wants to be there, kind of. Not like as long, but I think he's going to get a lot of time here. I do. Because, again, they traded for him. They gave up resources for him. And now they just drafted a young quarterback. So that buys everybody a little bit more time. Why wouldn't it buy Sean Payton time?
Okay, say he has 3 losing seasons.
Right. Well, they're only projected. Their win total's 5.5.
Yeah, I mean, say Sean Payton has 3. Don't you think that it's going to be a lot of noise and a lot of pressure? So at least next year he's going to be under. I think the Heat's going to come down hard already this year. If they have 5 wins as they're projected, they're 5-12. They're going to be like, why do we have the highest paid coach in all of sports and we win 5 games?
Yeah,
and these
fair.
are these owners too. These are the richest owners of all rich owners. I think. You're right. Of course he should have time. It makes no sense to expect him to build this team immediately, but that's not what we do in today's sports world. I mean, we make gigantic expectations of famous people like Sean Payton.
So, well, and a Super Bowl winning head coach, right? So a successful head coach. I think that this is what will get Sean Payton in the most trouble if Bo Nix looks terrible. If he's supposed to be the quarterback evaluator and Bo Nix is not some young project and he comes in and looks totally lost and bad, even though he'd be a rookie, okay, maybe you could forgive it. If they don't develop Bo Nix, I think that's what puts Sean Payton on the hot seat.
Let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
If you're Sean Payton and you know that Bo Nix is still learning the game, would you start him week 1 or knowing that you might cost yourself some games and it might not be the best version of Bo Nix, or would you start a veteran like Jarrett Stidham?
I think that there's always a lot of pressure to start the rookie.
See, I know. I would honestly push back and start the veteran because I think there's pressure to win. They're not drafting a quarterback next year. There's no reason to tank. So week 1, they have the Seahawks. Like, I want Jarrett Stidham out there on the field.
Yeah.
Just because you don't know Bo Nix. CJ Stroud, as you keep saying, ruined it for everybody. He's a rookie. You're going to actually throw him out there in week 1 and expect him to go to Seattle and win that game. Stidham's not an all-time. He's not a Pro Bowler, but he knows how to play this football game. He's been playing for 6 years. Get him. See, if I'm Sean Payton, I think there's more pressure to win immediately. I don't think that time that you're talking about is really there.
855-212-4227. That is the number to call to get in touch with the show. You can also watch us at Maggie Gray on X, youtube.com/Infinity Sports Network. Perloff and I, for once, not matching. We've been better this week. Sometimes we'll have a couple days in a row we'll be wearing the same thing, basically.
I don't think I can really pull off that color. It's a nice color. What is it? It's like a darker pink?
Like coral. You couldn't pull this off? No, it's not coral. It's Dusty Rose. That's YouTube.
The wrestler, Dusty Rhodes?
It's Dusty Rhodes. It's his shade. YouTube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, Twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. We say good morning to our Infinity Sports Network affiliates who we absolutely love, and SiriusXM channel 158, another great place you can listen to the show. Okay, coming up, we got to check in with our favorite college football coach. Been a minute. Get an update on him next.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Get it with Snoop to your double chill on the beat. Paris got a problem. Mickey Cully ain't discreet. Olympics coming fast, but the water's not neat. Gotta clean it up, make the competition sweet. Snoop's in the house and he's laying it down. In Paris where the river's supposed to wear the crown. But there's trouble in the water, yeah, it's going around. While Peter Buddy's on the sideline, I'm making a sound. Now Peter Bellotti ain't fazed by the fuss. While the city's in a hurry, he's missing the bus. Olympic fever high and everyone's a rush. Peter's laid back in the calm, no crush. Athletes train hard, dreams big, they trust. While Peter's in his world, the silence robust. Paris may hustle, sparkle and bust, but Peter Bellatti's mind is clear from Olympic dust. As the world tunes in for the gold, the glory, Peter's got other tales, another story. Not about the races or the podium's top. He's cool in the shadows where he doesn't flop. Back to Snoop with a message so clear, trying to fix the waters before the Olympians cheer. Yet there's Peter Bellotti sipping on his beer. Olympics might roar, but Peter just doesn't hear. In a sea famed for lights, art and more, Peter Bellotti finds his peace not keeping the score. While rowers row and swimmers soar, Peter's vibe is different on his own shore. So as we close this rap, take it from Snoop, we're all in this game, in every group. But remember our man Peter Bellotti, unique in the truth, marching to his beat in his own loop. Get it with Snoop to your double chill on the beat. Parents got a problem, Mickey Cully ain't discreet. Olympics coming fast, but the water's not neat. Gotta clean it up, make the competition sweet. Snoop's in the house and he's laying it down. In Paris where the river's
Minutes,
supposed to
30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Do you believe that? Deion. You believe that?
All right, you heard the music. Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. What is that wacky Deion up to now, Maggie?
Well, it looks like he's going back to the same well from last season, which is instead of having last names on the back of the practice jerseys for the Colorado Buffaloes, it is now the social media handle. So if you were wondering, it's at Shadur Sanders with the at symbol, building the personal brand, which obviously Deion Sanders was a master at, not only as a great player, but a brilliant self-promoter. Last year, this got some criticism. What I thought was interesting about doing it again this year, I'm not that surprised, Pearl, but you didn't win a lot of games. And so would you be changing it up just for that simple fact? Were guys looking at their social media too much? Were they listening to the comments? Did it get in anybody's head? We hear coaches always want to block out the noise.
Right.
And Deion instead kind of courts it. He gets into stuff on social media with players and former players over the offseason. It's just another thing that'll make people roll their eyes, I think, at Deion in the program.
I mean, Maggie, come on. You know how this works. You can't go half Deion. You got to go full Deion. You can't scale back at this point. If you're Deion Sanders, what are you talking about? It'd be the prudent move not to put your social media handle on the back of your jersey. Yes. But that kind of rule doesn't apply to Deion Sanders. Of course you have to do this.
Well,
you have to, at this point, you have to buy in and honestly go for it. That's what I say.
What I think is very funny is it's one thing if your Twitter handle or social handle, X handle, whatever, is at Shador Sanders. That's kind of obvious. We all know that. We probably could have guessed it. Right. Sometimes, though, young people will come up with, out-of-the-box social media handles.
Oh,
right. So you don't want, all right, I'm I'm a safety, and I'm at Donkey Lips 504. That doesn't help.
Isn't that an older person thing? Actually, I remember when Twitter just started, there were a lot of people I know who had bizarre handles and regretted it later on.
Yeah, this is the AIM screen away message names. What if you're Big Pimpin' 505? Not everybody's social media handle is just their name.
Well, right. My buddy Daniel Jeremiah has moved the sticks. And there's a lot of guys like that who started out they didn't understand in 2014 or something. They thought, I have to do it like a podcast name, and they didn't put their real name on it, which I think is awesome, by the way. I'd rather, Andrew Perloff is not worthy of going on the back of a jersey, but I don't know,
sports
super
guy.
Stud. Yeah. What's our buddy Gallo's handle? A guy who works here?
Pico de Gallo.
Oh, okay. That's a nice pun. On his last name.
Yeah. That's worth putting on the back of a jersey. You can't just have your name, though. You have to, in fact, I would change my handle if I was a Colorado.
Just something silly?
Yeah.
I know, but sometimes it's young guys, I'm Wolverine 5'10". What?
Is that a young guys thing? What?
You multiverses and your comic book people.
Oh, my God. You sound more out of touch than me, Maggie.
You don't have... Okay.
You comic book people?
You comic book people, you know who you are.
You people sitting there reading your Flash comics.
Yeah, you whippersnappers. Sometimes you have these regrettable social media handles, and the younger you are, I think, the more regrettable. It's what if you're Swifty? I'm Swifty 800.
Totally.
It's cool.
Isn't this I feel like this is an older person thing. Parents are more likely to screw up their social media handles. And Amanda, you're the youngest person here, I believe.
Yes.
Do young people tend to go with crazy names now as social media or more normal?
I see a mix. A lot of my friends have stupid handles just for fun, but then they'll have a professional Instagram account where it'll be at Amanda Vilas or whatever it is.
Yeah, young people, they have it figured out. We had to just wander through the desert. It's do I post this?
Now we have to wonder about the digital footprint because colleges see that, jobs see that, everyone sees that, and my friend's account at I'm him,
Yes, exactly.
Oh, so if you did have that, you would have a second account. Yeah,
yes,
for jobs.
The Finsta, if you will.
Oh, that is annoying. That's tough.
I know when I got hired here, they went back through my social media.
That's such a lie.
They told me.
That's a lie. They probably went. I mean, you think they went back 6 years?
I know that they went back and looked, and
they probably went to your last 12 tweets. Because can you imagine going through years and years?
Well, now mine delete every 30 days because I'm not going down like that. But the other part is people definitely looked up whether I'd said anything about any other hosts that work here to try to drum up controversy.
Listen, some people lose scholarships over it. It's true. There was a kid from UCLA that lost a scholarship for tweeting something dumb about, a basketball game.
What if instead of the social media handles on the back, they put your fantasy football team name on the back? It's show me your TDs.
Yeah, those are usually not safe for work or professional purposes.
It's like Players Weekend, but football.
Right.
Right.
Perloff brought up Gallo, our guy here, and I said Pico de Gallo. We're that's
These
clever.
sports are dumb, isn't he?
Well, that's what that's the key. You've got the handle, but then you've got the way your name appears on your page. So he's got the clever Pico de Gallo, but then he's got sports are dumb, and he works in sports. So
Yeah,
it
I know.
kind of doesn't make a lot of sense.
Imagine having football's dumb on the back of your practice jersey.
Awesome.
What are we doing here? .net.
Yeah. Put me in coach or something. I don't know. Like, yeah, you got to have fun with this. Does this really bother you, Maggie, that they have this? Like, of all the things going on in Colorado, it feels on brand to me. It feels kind of fun and light.
Well, they did it last year, having the social media handles on the back of the jersey. I think it's generally the wrong message. Generally, I think you have, building your brand, I get is totally important. I just worry about the negative impact of social media on athletes more than the positive, because I think a lot of these men and women can't help but look at the comments. I think they internalize them. I think it makes you bitter. It can make you depressed. I think there's more to the negative now, and I think as long as you're just posting your NIL stuff and it's more of a one-way street, but to, if you're a college kicker, to be getting death threats because you yanked a 40-yarder, at Texas Tech, I think that does more harm than good.
Yeah,
so to basically tell your team, be on social media, I think is the wrong message.
Got one word for you.
Yeah.
Wah. Come on. I want to know the kickers' social media handle. All these athletes are complaining about, I don't like the harsh. Read my social media comments.
I get it. Mine are harsh too.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not like, and if you,
it's hard on us and we're adults.
Modern athletes who don't think like you think in 1985, like athletes weren't getting screamed at on the street. Like this has been going on forever. I don't even want to hear it.
Well, screamed at on the street, I almost feel like that's way different. That's
way
out
scarier.
of line. Way out of line. But that would take a 1 out of a million shot. Now it's anyone who's got a social media handle. Like it's just the avalanche of the criticism can come as opposed to one scary moment that you have with a fan.
You get criticized on social media. At this point, does it bother you at all?
Well, it depends how right they are.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I mean, obviously, like I have kids. I hate how much TikTok they watch. It's obviously not good for anybody's brain. But these athletes complaining about social media is just stupid because it's another avenue. Why do you think they're making so much darn money now? It's another way to connect with fans. It's just like complaining about the media. This is another conduit to make your product way more interesting. It's obviously a huge part of today's sports world. It's obviously a massive, massive plus for athletes. I mean, it's gigantic. I mean, like, where do you think half this NIL money is going through it? It's all good for them in my mind.
Yeah. Counterpoint, they're human. CeeLo is here. He's got...
Especially these days. They seem more human than they've ever been.
Yeah.
AKA sensitive.
Wow. Perloff.
Not wrong.
Think so? Athletes too sensitive today?
In many cases, I think so, yeah. When you consider what they're doing for a living and how they're being compensated.
Oh, yeah.
Well, here's the thing, though. It's like, don't you think it's different with different ages? I know now the college players are going to be making money.
For sure.
So we'll probably be criticizing them more online and on par with professional athletes. There used to be a little bit of a line, maybe not on with fans, but definitely with media, where you would talk about a college athlete different than you would a professional athlete.
Really?
I think so.
Huh. And if you cross that line, you get Mike Gundy yelling at you. I'm a man. I'm 40. Come after me.
I feel like the Paul Feinbaum phenomenon. Like I felt like people were ripping on college teams pretty good for years.
But individual players for screwing up?
I don't remember that. Yeah, you could be right, I guess. I don't remember the college athletes I've always seen as viewed as like pro athletes. I did not necessarily know the line.
I think there was a little bit more of a reluctance. There's not anymore.
No.
Again, and not maybe for the rank and file, not rank and file, not like for your average just person who wants to send a death threat to a kicker.
Yeah, I mean, I remember in the 90s, everyone was killing Christian Laettner for stepping on that guy. And now it's funny, honestly. Sorry. I mean, everyone hates Christian Laettner documentary, like the hubbub around that. People used to kill the Fab Five. For nothing.
Well, that felt like it was racially charged, and that was problematic.
Yeah. Anyway, I think college athletes have been criticized. I don't even know how we got there, but as far as the
social media,
one thing is you get paid $40 million a year to take those slings and arrows on social media, and I think it's a good bargain. Like I agree with CeeLo. Like if you throw an interception, you're going to get killed. Don't be sensitive about it. That's what this business is.
Right.
Right. Like Jeffrey Simmons, we'll get into it later, came after that guy. Like, you can't kill the media for criticizing you. They're adding to the product that is getting you millions and millions and millions of dollars.
No, I understand the argument. I guess I would just say with this point, with everyone so accessible, where does it start? Like, yeah, you have college players now who are accessible. What about a high school kid who happens to be on social media? Does that kid have to take it? Like, is that what they signed up for? What about a middle school kid?
Yeah.
You know, like,
are they getting NIL?
So just getting paid.
So you're worried about Bronny still? He's in the pros, Maggie. You don't have to worry about him.
Bronny. I think Bronny's going to be all right.
Yeah.
But it's, it's not like there's no human cost here.
I just think it's a fine line. Somebody ripping the Auburn left tackle is not somebody going after a middle school kid. I just think that's
I think that's probably a lot of crossover.
I know. I just think Auburn, if you're the left tackle at Alabama, you're a pro athlete. Don't forget student athlete. You were getting paid like a pro athlete. You're on TV and CBS.
Now,
yeah, even back then, like you were basically on huge, you were on TV on Saturday afternoon and there's a Dr. Pepper ad and an IBM ad. You're a professional athlete. Like you're probably getting paid. And even back in the day, you're probably getting paid. It's all fine.
But not to belabor this too much, but like you do have teenage daughters. And if you are a teenage offensive lineman for Alabama, like physically you are more developed, but like social, emotional competence, like they're probably not, they're closer to your daughters right now than they would be us as professionals. Like, listen, you can not look at it, but this goes back to Deion Sanders and the Buffaloes putting the social media handles on the back of the jersey. You're basically kind of sending the message you have to be on social media. So,
well, that's not a hard thing to pitch to these players.
It's not. I'm sure they are.
What about when Deion cut all the old guys there? Was that too cruel, you think? I mean,
no, but we're talking about social media. Let's keep it on that, because if this is like a new kind of thing that there are studies, and we know that social media can have a negative effect on young people's brains. Like, that's not in debate. That's not up for debate. So now it's the coach basically being like, you got to lean in to this thing that we know can be very toxic, and it's adding something that you might not have even wanted in your life.
Yeah, no, I totally understand what you're saying. And maybe I'm making too much light of it. I do feel like it's different. Like, that's 12, 13, 14. A 19-year-old superstar left tackle at Alabama, I'm not as worried about for some reason. Also, these guys their lives have been dream rides. I mean, honestly, like those guys have been stars since they were 9 years old. I'm not sure. I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about these Colorado kids. They have bigger problems. They have, week 7 against whoever.
You got to make sure Deion doesn't cut
and also
them
too, like there's no
and put it on YouTube.
I don't know this in fact, but I think every college football player at this point comes in with a social media. Like, they're into it already. I think it's kind of a clever little twist, but I understand what you're saying about Deion. I just don't think Deion can go half Deion. Like, he's in it. Can you ever see him pulling back?
God, no. CeeLo is here. He's got headlines for us. What's up, CeeLo?
All right. So Perloff mentioned Jeffrey Simmons. Let's do that. The Titans defensive lineman with the media yesterday, apologizing for that verbal altercation he had with the local radio host, Buck Reesing, the day prior. So Simmons approached him after practice while he was live on the air. He's upset about a post on social media, and that also came after Simmons had got into a couple of scuffles on back-to-back plays during the team period of Tuesday's practice. So he was heated already. Here's part of what he explained yesterday.
I always talk about that switch, when to turn it on, when to turn it off. I was kind of still had it on coming off the field. Of course, with the way practice went.
Still in that like battle competitors mode, which I guess he felt spilled over to that confrontation he had, which was really kind of one-sided if you heard the audio, but he conveyed to Reesing that he didn't handle it the right way.
I have understanding where we're coming from. I have understanding where he coming from. He have a job, I have a job. At the end of the day, I take full accountability of my actions on the field. I mean, that'll never happen again with me.
So they had a little one-on-one and hashed it out, which Titans PR set up. And in general, he was asked about his overall mood when dealing with the media specific to this training camp so far this summer.
I'm not angry at you guys. I don't have nothing against you guys. You guys have a job, I have a job. We know you guys are going to critique us. I mean, we're not going to like it. And like I told earlier, like, we also have a right to speak our opinion as well, just like you guys. So I'm not angry with no one. Like I said, some of the stuff I just don't like with some of the stuff to be said. That's my opinion.
And I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I think you just want to try to make sure you're not like inflaming the situation as best as possible.
Yeah, reminds me of the famous was it Chris Rock about the on-off switch?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Neil Brennan. He's like, you were doing football when you were supposed to be doing society. Yeah. And like when you turn it on and turn it off, about how aggressive you are, and the fact that he put it in that term, I think is probably wise.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
I didn't know how to turn it off.
I'm thinking of hammering the over on the Titans now. This guy's, I like an angry Jeffrey Simmons. Bring it on. He's a great player, too. Was this host criticizing the team or Jeffrey Simmons? Because he's the only good player they've had for like 4 years.
That I don't know. I don't know which specific social media post set him off.
I just feel like this guy is coming off the field. He's practicing so hard. He's in warrior mode in training camp. This is getting me excited. Let's go Titans.
I don't know. Tough start to the season. I mean, you're at Chicago, okay, then the Jets, Green Bay, at Miami early in the season is always tough.
They beat Miami last year.
You're right. That was a wild game. Remember that? They were losing the whole game up until the last 40 seconds. Then at Buffalo, at Detroit, tough back-to-back. I don't know about that over.
Look at us breaking down these schedules
Titans schedule.
The Titans are such a funny team because they secretly built except for their quarterback, they have a kind of a dream team going on right now. They have Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd, with Treylon Burks, a first-round pick coming off the bench. They have talent everywhere on this roster, but none of them fits together. Nobody knows who they are.
Yeah, I would also like to point out the multiple text messages that went back and forth between you and EJ about who Will Levis is dating.
Ooh. Oh yeah,
I don't know who this person is.
This is more of an EJ explained to me because I'm not up on The Bachelor as much, but he's dating a bachelorette.
So he's dating a contestant on The Bachelor who's been on there twice, both on The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise. Victoria Fuller. She's a beautiful woman. She has had several men wrapped around her finger, and she has dumped them like a bad habit and left those guys high and dry, and they have never been the same. So I don't want to warn, and I've been someone who's been very bullish on the Titans this year. I don't want to warn Titans fans that feel like, hey, if this goes south, your boy Will Levis is in trouble. But I saw this and I could not stop laughing because I'm like, man, go ahead, Pearl.
Wait, what do you mean she's left everybody in worse shape? What did she date celebrities who then struggled?
She left the first Bachelor. She just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. And then he ended up having a spiral down the rest of the season. That didn't work out.
What?
Then she went on Bachelor in Paradise, got engaged to another contestant, and then dumped him weeks before the reunion and got with another Bachelor contestant who wasn't even on the season and brought him on stage to confront the old ex-fiance. I mean, Victoria, again, beautiful woman, seems like decent or whatever, but it's been a little messy when it comes to relationships that I've seen in public.
Oh my god!
So that concerns me for Will Levis.
She's a baddie. What's going to happen week 5 when all of a sudden, she's dumping him for God knows who, I
mean, the one good news is I think you would think that, hey, you got an NFL quarterback, how much higher can you go? Is she really going to be quick to dump chart? Will Levis? Yeah, I don't know how quick she'll be to dump Will Levis, but I could and I know there's been getting around the stories about them being together. I am now a little concerned about the Titans.
Yeah, but
because of that.
Okay, she might have, top of the food chain quarterback in the NFL, but she's also got a brand. We're talking about Deion. Her brand is I'm going to leave men in the dust.
Absolutely. And in sometimes very embarrassing fashion on national television. Yeah, let's hope that she's not in main Titans games this year.
Well, can I ask a question? Is there any quarterback of the 32 quarterbacks who people are less certain of what he's going to be than Will Levis next year? I mean, it is a mystery box right there.
Yeah.
Is he good? Beats me.
Great
Even
question.
Victoria Fuller doesn't know.
Maybe she's got some intel.
I mean, he's big. He throws the ball. He's got a lot of velocity. He can run, but is he good? Maggie,
you're asking me like I know.
I don't know.
Guy eat banana peels. He puts mayonnaise in his coffee. He's just an odd
bird. Right. I forgot about all that. He wears his sleeves bizarrely too high to show off the guns so he can get the bachelorettes. I just don't know what's going on there. This is the Titans are trying their hardest to be interesting. It's amazing. Titans are as low a Q score as you get.
It's funny that DeAndre Hopkins isn't anywhere near a headline, and he's definitely the most interesting person on the team.
I don't know. Calvin Ridley got suspended for a year, and he's there.
It's true, for a 5-game parlay.
I don't know. They lost Derrick Henry. You would have thought all the interest went out the door. They might miss that guy, by the way. Remember him? Oh, boy.
Yeah. New head coach as well. First time. We don't know about him.
Oh, my gosh. Talking about a guy. Is Brian Callahan going to be a good coach? Good luck figuring that out. Brian Callahan walked in right now. Would any of us know who he was?
Would we know Bill?
Nope.
His dad?
I think I would.
I'd probably recognize Bill.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know Bill Callahan is actually standing right there.
I would know Bill Callahan. Seen him enough over the years. He's been around a long time now.
This is a fun
Was
game.
he a Jet thing or something?
He was a Jet coach at one point. Yeah.
It'd be funny to do, instead of like the young guys, like, do you know this person? The older offensive coaches, like, do you know Rick Scarangello, whatever?
I know the name. I don't think I could pick out in a lineup. No.
Do we know what Vic Fangio really
Yes.
looks like? I think I might.
do. If Marty Morningway
I can't
walked
wrap
in
my
right here,
face.
Marty Morningway's a good one.
Yeah, I know him.
I can't wrap my head around Vic Fangio. I've seen him a million times. No, I think he's anonymous looking. Yeah.
There's so many of these
But I've seen him enough to know. Yeah.
Honestly, you put Brian Callahan and all the other former like Kubiakis, like they are so generic right now. It's like everybody. Let's get a 40-year-old guy out of the Shanahan tree, right? It's everywhere. Zach Taylor, Kevin O'Connell, Brian Callahan. Like it's interesting how all these coaches. I was reading about that. Everyone's trying to hire the same coach, some version of the same coach, and they've all become anonymous.
Yeah, it's a copycat league, right?
Kevin Stefanski. I mean,
well, he's a
head
coach
pick
right
Kevin
now.
Stefanski out of a lineup. Yes, you could.
I could, but they're not remarkable. They're just offensive geniuses.
Right. I get it. If he in Cleveland walked down the biggest street in the downtown Cleveland area, how many people are stopping him? I don't know.
I don't think it's like Rex Ryan.
No. Different market. Rex, obviously.
People actually, by the way, if we're ever going to do a hot coach draft, there are some Kevin Stefanskiites out there who think he's a good-looking man.
No, but I think this is different. I think we're talking about the longtime assistant coaches whose names that you definitely know because he probably coached your team maybe once or twice.
Yeah, not head coaches.
But never really. Like Bill Callahan was a head coach and did obviously coach in the Super Bowl. But like Mike Tice.
I could do Mike Tice.
You could, okay, because he's big.
Everybody can name Mike Tice. Mike Tice is one of the most unusual-looking coaches of all time.
Trying to
How
think
about Dick LeBeau?
Right.
Dick LeBeau always looked like he could still
Cameron was
play.
walking through the door. Do you know Cam
Again,
Cameron?
he's kind of a weird-looking guy.
I would probably look at him and be like, I feel like he looks familiar. I know that face, but I can't put the name with it.
You said Cam Cameron and Joe Philbin's face just popped in my head. I realized I was thinking about
Philbin's another one. He did have a cup of coffee, right?
He's a unique-looking guy. Joe Philbin. I feel like
if he didn't have the distinction of going 0 in a season, would we know what Rod Marinelli looks like?
Yeah, probably not.
I can't picture Rod Marinelli.
Again, we're not talking about guys who actually did make.
I think everyone knows what. If you go in the media, everyone knows what Mariucci looks like.
Well, he's been on TV now for 10 years.
Yeah,
and he was a successful
and a
head
successful
coach.
Yeah. Dom Capers.
Yeah, I could do Dom Capers.
Probably.
He was also head coach.
Head coach.
I'm not sure. I think Dom could walk around this building. You would not know him.
You might.
Listen, I'm not patting myself on the back. I'm probably in like the minority as far as being able to recognize a lot of these guys.
All right, we're professionals. We're supposed to know what we're talking about. If we took the average NFL fan and we put a lineup of Zach Taylor, Mike McDonald, Brian Callahan, and Kevin Stefanski.
These are the current guys.
The current guys.
Current head coaches.
Yeah, and I guarantee most people would not know the difference between Mike McDonald and Brian Callahan.
Probably.
Guaranteed.
I mean, they just became head coaches.
It doesn't matter. They're all the same exactly. It's just like Joe Shane and the 4 other GMs will look exactly like Joe Shane. I think it's such a copycat league.
Default GM or coach. Yeah. I get that.
I like these longtime assistant coaches. Like, can you pick these guys out of it?
Well, that's
names that are so familiar.
Long time is key. A lot of these guys have been coordinators for a minute, and they're getting head coaching jobs, and they're earlier on in their coaching careers than the long time coordinator or assistant.
Like, you think that you can be in Oklahoma and they know who Kevin Gilbride is? It's just a name that you heard for a long time.
He was a head coach, though, right?
Was he?
Yeah.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
maybe. See, I know him more, obviously, from the
that's
Giants.
from here, but I'm just saying.
Was he a head coach when he had the?
No, when Buddy Ryan punched him, he was not a head coach. I thought he got I thought he got a job at one point. But
Let's see here.
Anyway,
head coaching, Southern Connecticut State, San Diego for a year.
Yeah, the Chargers. Yeah,
for a
he was
season, and then
charged.
got fired the next year. 97, 4-12, and then at 2-4, 98, they gave him the axe. So, yeah.
There you go. All right, we've got to take a quick timeout. CeeLo, thank you so much.
You guys are taking it easy on me. I've had to do nothing except come chat with you guys.
Well, you know.
No, it's great. I'm not complaining.
It's August 1st.
Yeah, good point.
If you're burying any stories,
No,
then
no,
that's really more
nothing's
on
being
you.
buried, no.
We actually do have a little bit of news that just happened. We will get to that in just moments. Maggie Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
I guess that's how we're competitive.
Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
that history was made today, Perloff?
No, what?
Years from now, you can look back and say August 1st, 2024 was the day that one man became the highest paid offensive lineman in the history of the league. That man is Tristan Wirfs of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So this is according to Adam Schefter. The three-time Pro Bowler reached an agreement, 5 years, $140.63 million contract extension. Now makes him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. He was in the final year of his contract. That was going to pay him basically $18.5 million.
Did he pass somebody from 8 days ago?
I think he did. I think it was Penei Sewell from whatever that was. That was inked.
So Christian Darrisaw was a little bit less. But anyway, yeah. You said something yesterday the other day. You're like, he's the highest paid quarterback in the history of the franchise. I'm like, yeah, no duh. Everybody's the highest paid everything. With
that was
everything.
Tua.
Yeah, of course he was. He probably makes more in 3 games than Dan Marino made his entire career. The money's crazy. So, yeah, more on Wirfs.
Remember when we mentioned that to Dan Marino and he didn't really appreciate it? The deal for Wirfs includes $88 million guaranteed.
I think if you should be paying for any position other than quarterback, left tackle makes a lot of sense to me. I know people say the right tackle is important too, but either tackle, like that makes a lot of sense to me. The $88 million for a guy who's protecting your $200 million product, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's generally between tackles and pass rushers, right? I mean, keep the quarterback upright.
Well, now wide receivers become the second most expensive position, which is bizarre because there's so many of them.
You know what's funny, though? You've said they're the new running back. I think that's maybe a little dismissive, but I think you're right. I think this is a cyclical, right? I think that because you're right, there's so many wide receivers, like so many people who can play that position well. A lot of it's on system and scheme and all that stuff. I think that eventually we'll cycle away from these high wide receiver contracts. I don't think we're ever cycling off of, if you're a great left tackle, you're getting paid. If you're a great pass rusher, you're getting paid.
Right, because you think about it, the good teams have 3 wide receivers, a tight end, a running back who can catch. Like, you're one of many. The tackle is so singularly important. And Tristan Wirfs is great. He's just one of those guys that, like, how does that guy at that size move like that? I think it's a no-brainer. It's interesting, though, the Tampa Bay, you don't think much about their future because Baker's in there, but that's a guy I would pay forever and keep him there.
Would you just like to know or guess the career earnings of Joe Thomas?
Joe Thomas,
just to show you
Hall
how
of
much
Fame, Cleveland Brown.
The market's changed.
$85 million.
Close. $122 million. I
saw a thing the other day. Drew Brees Albert Breer was talking about this. Drew Brees was the first quarterback to make $20 million in a year about 12 years ago. $20 million.
Yeah. It's now more than doubled.
There are 7 $50 million quarterbacks, and by next year, there'll be double-digit $50 million quarterbacks. So that is, I can't do the math. The numbers are going bananas at quarterback.
Can you imagine how sad you would be if your team was paying their quarterback $20 million? You'd be like, well, we suck.
$20 million.
He's only making $20 million. Oh, is that the backup, or because we need a real person in there? Because even Daniel Jones is making double that.
I mean, I think more than half the league is making more than $35 million a year a quarterback. So the money is crazy. It just makes so much sense. So to pay the left tackles too, because it's just about the money, right? You got to protect your other money, and this is key. I have Wirfs as the 6th ranked left tackle according to Pro Football Focus.
Wow. Highest paid offensive lineman of all time, and he's not even considered the best one.
Well, PFF, you're talking like a few points here or there. It goes Penei Sewell, Trent Williams, who wants a contract.
Holding out.
But he's old. Jordan Mailata, who just got paid. Tyron Smith, who's super old. Braden Smith, who I think either got paid and then Tristan Wirfs. So all these guys, it's like quarterback. They're just going to keep passing. This is not going to last. I'm not marking this day in my calendar, as you suggested, Maggie, because there's going to be another one. There's going to be another one next week, and then you're going to say August 11th. Mark that date, Perloff.
We'll always remember where we were on this fateful day. Okay, coming up, the one NFL coach on the hot seat.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Heading into the NFL season, and college for that matter, coaches on the hot seat. worth a discussion, Pearl, because we could talk about the Mike McCarthys and the Billy Napiers if you want to go to college, but you have an under-the-radar coach who is not on the hot seat this season, but you think is not going to get the amount of time to really set their program, if you will, without escaping major criticism if they don't turn it around. So
Sean Payton is a great coach. He's probably going to make the Hall of Fame for what he did with New Orleans, because it's not like Mike McCarthy, who won one with Aaron Rodgers. He took New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina and won one of the most famous Super Bowls, most dramatic Super Bowls ever. I think that alone gets to the Hall of Fame. He's a great coach. And also, unlike McCarthy, the team was really close a couple more times. McCarthy had some good records, but Sean Payton's a Hall of Fame coach. This is not going to work in Denver. He's the highest paid coach in all of sports. He has the worst roster in the NFL, according to PFF. Their over-under is 5.5 wins. He's already falling down these coaching rankings like crazy. He went from 2 in CBSSports.com to 16 or something this year. I tell you, if he's 5-12, the sky will, what's the number here?
Yeah, 5-12.
5-12. The sky will be falling in Denver, and people are going to say, what is the matter? Nobody is patient. It's 2024. It's not 1994. Maggie, it is going to be a dumpster fire if they're bad. And I think everyone's ignoring this fact. And even Sean Payton himself, he's talking very confidently in Denver about, he said that we had a great draft, even though they didn't have a lot of high picks. I just think that we're being naive here. People are so quick to judge in today's NFL world. There's so much hype. There's so much attention on every team. If they lose, I think it's going to be really bad. He tends to get defensive in those situations. There's not a 5-year plan. That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, they did have one high pick. I mean, Bo Nix, and that's, I think, what this all rests on. You're right. This would be the second person who would go to Denver, Russell Wilson being right before him, whose legacy kind of materially changed after being there and failing there in a very short amount of time. I think if Sean Payton can get Bo Nix on the right track, if he can show I chose right, there were 6 quarterbacks in the first round. I thought that this player was worthy of one of those picks, and I'm going to make him the future of the program. Then I think he's going to be hailed as the conquering hero, even if they never win, right? Because you do have Mahomes in the same division. You do have a lot of other AFC is crazy with quarterbacks. I don't know if the standard is necessarily he must win again, but if he develops Bo Nix, I think that he's going to be fine. Now, the question is, can you do that? Are you going to be able to do that with a roster that's not very good?
Well, even if
on paper.
You talked about C.J. Stroud and a possible sophomore jinx. I think there are a lot of quarterbacks we were like, okay, maybe something there. Like Justin Fields, I think there was something there. I don't know. Positive trajectory with Bo Nix weeks 12 through 18. To me, that's not enough.
Really? You don't think him going on the right direction would be...
If they hit their win total and they are 5-12, even if Bo Nix looks okay, I mean, I don't know. I'm dubious. And by the way, they lost their second round pick this year.
That was for Payton. Wasn't that part of the Payton trade? It was a first round pick and a second round pick, I thought. For Russell, you mean? I mean Russell, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, right. Payton, you got Peyton Manning on the mind.
And Russell Wilson,
but look at they have not hit on any other big draft picks. I mean, they're just not. Who are the young players? There's a lot of maybes. Like Marvin Mims last year was an exciting rookie wide receiver.
Yeah.
He had 377 yards in 16 games. This is not, they just have not had their guys. They just don't, it's really, I don't know. I feel like they're in a hole. And I feel like as great as Sean Payton is, I mean, he's really going to have to pull a rabbit out of his hat here. Maybe he can do it. I think he's a great coach. I think he's a great offensive play caller. I think last year, he did not know what he was getting into with Russell Wilson. I think he was probably a little overconfident. I think he's just in the wrong spot. I think he should have taken another job.
It was Sean Payton, the other pick. So it was a first-round pick in 2023 and a second-round pick. Yeah, that's why Denver didn't have the pick this year because they traded to New Orleans for Sean Payton. That's the type of investment that was made in this coach.
What was the Russell Wilson trade?
Those are all those picks I think already accounted for in Seattle. But here's the thing about did he take the wrong job? He openly said he wanted to go to a place where he could golf. So whether that's just a funny, folksy line or not, I'm not sure. You could play the what if game. What if he had actually gone to Dallas? What if he had gone to Miami, with that rumor that he and Tom Brady were going to be in Miami together? And that would have been something very interesting. Was this just the wrong fit with a new owner who might not know what they're doing and a general manager that I think had a lot of respect on the inside, but I can't imagine the fans are very impressed with what George Payton has done. So, we
have a lot of Paytons in this mix.
Paytons in this conversation. But I think Sean Payton made also one critical error. Only spending 1 year away when his buzz was growing. Like, he's still a young enough guy where I think he could have spent another year out. Remember how Gruden was gone for 5 years doing Monday Night Football?
Yeah, it felt like even a little longer.
Yeah. And not that Sean Payton had to go away for that long, but I don't know if you're I'm kind of agreeing with you, just whether it was Denver or maybe any team jumping back in after just a year.
Well,
was that the right move, or could he have just stayed in the media for even longer and really waited for something good to come along?
Well, except that the money with Denver was all time.
And that only would have grown, I think, the longer he was out.
He's the highest paid coach in all of sports.
And again, this is just
how could
these
it grow?
quarterback contracts.
So you're saying there'd be a bigger gap? I mean, 5 years, $18 million a year. Once Belichick retired, that became number one.
I know, but this is just like quarterback contracts and wide receiver contracts. Don't you think for the guys who are proven, it just goes up and up and up? We saw this in the NBA. All of a sudden, Steve Kerr gets paid, then Eric Spoelstra gets paid more. Then that just keeps happening.
Well, I'm just saying, I just think that he had already built enough demand in 1 year to become the highest paid coach. You can't go up from number one. So he maybe he gets marginally more. I think the money was, I think he did build that buzz because he was pretty good on TV too. I think he achieved what he wanted. I see what you're saying. I thought you were going to say he needed more rest to sort of recharge his batteries. That's not necessarily what you're getting at, because he seems to be full of pith and vinegar still. He still gets mad at the media. He's still a little ornery. Yeah. He's still really engaged. He's actually incredibly optimistic. And I've watched some of his press conference and bright-eyed about this team and excited about the young guys. But I don't know. For me, it's more a function of this day and age, 2024. I feel like we've moved up the timeline so fast. You got to hit immediately in everything, or people will move on.
Which is funny. We're talking about Sean Payton with the Broncos and whether he's going to get actual time to maybe turn around this franchise, or are the Sharks going to be coming for him if he has a 5-win season? What's interesting about that is, who are the people who are ultimately making these decisions on whether a head coach stays or goes?
The owner in this case,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, the owner. These are supposed to be the older, wiser people, right? These are the guys who are impetuous. These are the ones who are listening to the media and the fans. They're supposed to be the wise people who sort of see the long game and the forest through the trees, right? And that clearly doesn't happen.
Maybe, and this could be a mistake, I think the media will turn on Sean Payton too if he loses. I mean, the media, and does that matter? I think the national media loves Sean Payton right now. He's a lot of friends in the media. He was in the media last year. He's rightfully very well respected. I feel like they would kill him if he was 4-13.
Well, I don't know if it's about that.
It might not matter, but I think that would be a big thing.
I think things that I criticize him for last year was he came in real hot, talking about how Nathaniel Hackett was the worst coach in the history of the game. He came in real hot and then had to walk it back and say, sorry, I just had drank too much coffee that morning, and I was a little the latte defense, as I would say. And then, starting the season with an onside kick, trying to be cute about bringing back the glory moment from the Super Bowl with Drew Brees, how he started the second half. I didn't love that. And I think you can tell he's kind of doing a different tone this year, because I've seen those same things. I'm excited about the young guys. I love this team. And to be honest, I think him talking up this team so much and how he loves these young guys is also a direct hit on Russell Wilson. He's not saying it, but he's saying it, that I think he likes this team better without Russ. And that to me, just seems a little, if that's indeed what's behind it, feels a little small.
But and tell me if you agree with this. The bottom line is, all those things that you criticized him for last year, if he'd come out and been 10-7, then nobody would have it falls on deaf ears. It's a bottom line game. It's a win and loss game, regardless of what his attitude is. Man, if you're a head coach and you're getting paid a ton of money and you lose, then people don't look at the timeline. The other thing, he does do a few Sean Payton things. People have been grilling him about the quarterback competition, and there was somebody asked a question about I think it was Zach Wilson. He literally stared at the media for 10 seconds before answering, just gave total silence. He'll still screw around. He definitely thinks he's smarter than everybody. Will you give me that?
I mean, they're head coaches. The ego knows no bounds. 855-212-4227. Okay, you're welcome to weigh in on Sean Payton. We know we're on in Colorado, and he's a star everywhere. Do you think he's going to get time to really turn this Denver Broncos team around? What are they, second lowest in win total?
Third.
Was it Patriots first?
I think it's the Panthers. It's a Panthers, Cardinals, Broncos, or Panthers, Patriots, Broncos. They're right around there. They're very low in Super Bowl odds too. If you think they're going to go all the way, you can make some big time money there.
We also have an update for you coming up on where you're going to be able to watch NFL and college football games coming up this fall. A little news about that. A little nugget. We'll get to it next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff. All right, Maggie and I are cosplaying as television executives here in the break. We were figuring out there's a report out about this new combination of media powerhouses, and it's going to affect watchers in a big way, possibly as early as this fall. Maggie, you want to break it down?
So it's called Venue Sports, and it's basically ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers, which is TNT and TBS, all together in one bundle, conveniently priced for you at $42.99. So this would be for people who have cut the cable cord, but obviously if you're a sports fan and you still want to watch NFL and college football and NBA and hockey and Major League Baseball, you could buy this and you can get whatever they're going to show over the air. Now, this is not going to include like Sunday ticket. So if you're somebody who likes to watch out-of-market NFL games, this is not going to help you in any way, but you'll get all the primetime games and whatever would be showing in the window, I guess, in your area. This is what I can't figure out about the Fox part of this. If you're getting NFL, what channel, like what game are you getting? Because multiple games are going on at Fox at each time. Fox shows multiple 1 o'clock games, multiple 4 o'clock games.
Well, I think the thing is, if you're a football fan or you're a sports fan, you were getting all this last year. You were probably you had cable or you had to buy YouTube TV so you could see Monday Night Football, for example, which is obviously not on Sunday ticket. Like you had to see ESPN somewhere. So Venue is a way to save $20 a month by doing this instead of YouTube TV, right? Because, I mean, listen, if you're a sports fan, you have to have some way to get ESPN. You can't not have ESPN.
It'd be very hard. It would. I mean, it'd be very hard not to have Fox, too. Because you want to watch the World Series.
Your World Series, soccer. You know, Fox has a lot of soccer now. Baseball, there's a TNT. I don't quite get.
College football. I mean, think about it. The Big Ten sold their new rights like the NFL.
Right.
They've sold to multiple different companies.
Right. Like, if you're a college football fan, you had to be getting Fox somewhere last year.
Definitely. What are you going to miss? Big news.
So, TNT, I'm not quite sure. Listen, as a huge Rizzoli and Isles fan, I'm paying for that, obviously, first and foremost. Yeah. No, I don't know. Now that if they lose the NBA, which seems like they are, I'm not sure what the TNT is about. What TNT's into wrestling? What is their thing now? They have something coming up?
AEW. I mean, they've been
college football? Or like they're trying to get into some sport.
Into the college football playoff. That was
right, but those are really just those are ESPN is producing it for them, right?
And the ESPN was going to produce it, and then they were going to sell off some of the early games, I think.
They feel they have baseball, and they have baseball, right?
They do, but it's, what is it? Sela, what do they have? TBS has what? Wild Card and DS. They don't have any of the championship series.
Gosh.
Oh, I don't know if it's American or National League.
Or maybe they do, actually. Maybe Fox does. Maybe Fox has one championship series and TNT has the other. EJ, you're nodding your head about this.
They have one of the championship series. I think they might alternate. I don't think it's the same conference every year or league every year, but they definitely do half of the LCS matchups.
Same thing with the Eastern Conference, Western Conference finals for the NBA. Pine Needle is telling me in the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, if you want to watch the show. Maggie, you get the game that's in your region, as they have set the boundaries for the rest of the games you'll not get if it's outside your area. So that's, if you get this bundle.
Then you will get the local.
You get the local game.
Yeah.
Or whatever Fox is showing in that window.
To follow up what EJ said, last postseason, MLB on TBS was the exclusive home of the NLDS and NLCS. So there you go.
Well, they're getting rid of basketball, right? Are they long-term committed to baseball? I've never felt like that was such a strong bond. Turner and baseball.
It was always like a left turn where it's like, wait, now Ernie Johnson is now calling like the Phillies and the NLDS.
Yeah.
Always a little
it's always
odd.
felt
Brian
weird.
Anderson, right?
You know what?
2028, they have a deal. Turner Sports renewed its rights through 2028.
Got it.
But you're right; they just lost out on basketball. That was the big story that happened earlier this week.
They're definitely the weak link of this little venue package. Like, I don't think anybody's getting this for TNT. You know who? One big competitor. A lot of people I know get Fubo.
Yep.
Because they have a great sports package. So that's what we're talking about.
Raising his hand.
Yeah. I have a lot of friends who love Fubo.
All right. Well, I mean, as far as national stuff, you're pretty well covered. They also have a lot of the conference channels. For me, locally in New York, it was big. They have all the MSGs. So Rangers, Knicks, Islanders, Devils. The only thing it was missing up until this year was the Yes Network for the Yankees, which they added.
Oh.
And it had everything. But then all of a sudden, shortly after they added Yes, SNY went away, which is the Mets channel. So locally in New York, for a very short period of time, they had everything you'd need.
Yeah.
But that's since gone away.
It's CeeLo, you're in the industry. Isn't it hard to be a streamer only and do sports? I mean,
it can be.
Got to be more challenging.
There's ways around it. I mean, you'll share some things with somebody else, a family member here or there. Yeah. And look, I know they're cracking down on that with a lot of these streaming services, even, ones that aren't live television, but, series and programs and movies and all that. But I don't know. I've found a way so far. But yeah, it's getting to a point where even the streamers will get you in with a lower price, and then it increases over time. Before you know it, you're right back where you were with cable anyway.
Well, and I should mention that they did say this even for Venue, this thing we're talking about that just got announced. It's going to be $42.99 a month. You get ESPN, you get Fox, and you get TNT. It starts at $42.99.
Yeah. Right.
And then that fine print that nobody reads that you just click on terms and conditions where you essentially give away your firstborn. Yeah. It's going to be cable in no time. Like, this is a clear, careful what you wish for. Like, we all didn't want to pay for channels we don't watch, and everyone want to go a la carte, and we're going to end up right back where we were with paying for all the stuff you don't want and don't need because it's all been bundled. And you're going to end up getting paid out the wazoo anyway. And you want to know something that still chaps me after all this time? I still can't believe that I pay this money to these streaming services and I get ads.
Right.
It chaps me so hard. I'm watching Shogun or whatever, and I pay for Disney Plus, so I get it because that's technically Hulu or whatever.
Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN Plus is the bundle there. Yeah.
And it comes to this exciting moment in the show, and then all of a sudden I'm watching a Swiffer ad, and I love you, Swiffer. But it really kills the vibe, when you're doing this prestige TV that plays like a movie.
You're spoiled.
I really can't have you going now to some kind of insurance commercial when the two main characters just got it on,
Prime
That's not what you want.
Prime is a killer. Wait, also, by the way, you have to buy, if you're a football fan, you also have to buy Peacock and Paramount, right? And I'm almost sure.
Well,
and
in
then,
theory.
Paramount CBS, so you should be okay with that. Was there a Paramount?
Well, if you're a streamer, if you don't have cable television, how are you going to get
depends on the streaming service. So, like for Fubo, I get all
you can't just
local,
do Venue. You have to get something
right because you don't have CBS.
But on Fubo, I get the local CBS.
Right, but if you have Fubo, you're not going to get Venue because you get ESPN.
Correct.
Yeah,
right.
So it's just annoying.
They don't have everything.
I got to tell you, Peacock. There was a Saturday Night Live skit I wanted to show my kids. And I couldn't get it on the internet because I hid it into Peacock. So if I do go this way, then I get to see the old Saturday Night Live skits.
What was the sketch you want to show?
My daughter is in a play. She's 12. There's a sketch where they put on a high school play that they wrote their own script for and did their own productions. And they think they're about to be discovered. And it turns out to be a complete disaster. Yeah. It is the funniest sketch, the second funniest sketch. The funniest sketch is recently when they did that one where have you guys seen the sketch Saturday Night Live where they're explaining how they came up with the metric system?
Oh, yeah. Nate Bargatze, where they're all sitting around.
That is my favorite.
George Washington and Kenan Thompson keeps bringing up, and don't you think we should have equality for black people? And they're like, the metric system.
Yes.
That's good. And they keep ignoring him.
You can't. It was so brilliant. I want to show my kids that. I can't. I think it's on Peacock. And then Paramount is the Yellowstone streamer, right? Basically, anyone who wants to see Yellowstone's got to get Paramount, although I'm seeing it creeping around in different places, too.
Can I just ask you something? sorry about a tangent here. If you actually, someone asked you, what is the funniest SNL sketch of all time? And it could be a recurring character like, the church lady or whatever. But if you just had what is the funniest one? Because I think it's got to be, certainly a matter of taste. I
have one.
Yeah, I have mine too. But what's yours?
I'd say Will Ferrell cowbell is the hardest I've ever laughed.
That's a very good one.
It's definitely a number one seed.
I need more cowbell.
Yeah.
Christopher Walken makes
I got a fever.
I got a fever. That one jumps to mind. Right? I mean, there's so many. There's so many that's almost an impossible question. What's yours?
I think mine actually would be Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer. I think that is probably a lower seed. I think it's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Listen, I'm just a caveman.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm just a caveman.
It is amazing.
It's so funny.
But there's so many.
There's some of the stuff from the early days is tremendous.
I mean, when
Rosanna Dana.
Going way back.
Bassamatic 76.
The shark. What was the
Shark Graham or whatever?
Yeah,
Candy Graham.
Candy Graham.
Yeah,
Land Shark.
Yeah.
How about when
John Belushi
Eddie
with
Murphy
the cheeseburger?
Yep.
Or would Eddie Murphy dress up as a white person and everybody hands him things for free?
I mean, Eddie Murphy doing Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. This is how we answer the door in my neighborhood. Who the hell is it?
Yeah.
It's great. It's amazing.
Locally here on WFAN, the morning show down the hallway, just randomly, I forget even how it came up last week, we had a Sprockets reference.
I love Sprockets.
So we dropped that in there out of the blue.
This is Sprockets where we dance.
Yeah.
Wayne's World, I don't think it would be like the laugh out loud funniest. That would not, but it's iconic.
Oh, it was so funny. Church Lady, those things were.
I know.
Lady.
How about
a tough one?
I like
Kristen Wiig when she plays that character where she has the short arms.
Oh,
I don't
hands?
even understand it.
That's very good.
I just cry laughing every time I see it.
There's some good holiday ones too, like Alec Baldwin with the sweaty.
Go ahead, say it, CeeLo.
Sweaty balls, yeah.
Right.
I mean, public radio.
This is we can't even tap this list. There's so many iconic ones.
I actually think the Kristen Wiig one, I don't even think you have the funniest Kristen Wiig. The one
Which
with the
one?
little hands is very funny.
There is another
when
one.
she gets abducted by the aliens, and it's Ryan Gosling, and they're talking.
No, that's
it's
Kate McKinnon, isn't it?
Oh, is it Kate McKinnon?
Kate McKinnon, it plays sort of
where the two people are having this great experience
Yeah.
getting abducted by aliens, and she's getting probed by all these little people.
That's my other favorite one. Kate McKinnon. I think it's Kate McKinnon. I'm not 100% sure, but the two of them are so darn
She's
funny.
smoking a cigarette.
I mean, how about Sandler, Farley? I mean, Chris Farley down by the river.
Yeah.
I mean, is there anything funnier than that?
Matt
It's
Foley.
impossible to be funnier than Chris Farley.
Celebrity Jeopardy, Norm Macdonald.
Oh, yeah. I'll take
Daryl
the rapist
Hammond
for 400
doing,
because it's therapist.
Connery, Then when Will Ferrell as the, I mean.
Oh my gosh, you're
There was
right.
another one with Will Ferrell. I forget if it was a holiday one, and I think Juliana Margulies was the guest host, and they're at the dinner table, right? And Will Ferrell is feeding his kid as if they're like birds.
Oh, it's so gross.
I mean, but it's just,
they're chewing the food and putting each other's mouths.
And I mean, Juliana Margulies trying to keep a straight face during that. It was just tremendous.
Anyway,
I think
there's
people,
the Justin Timberlake that I can't say on the air as well in the movie theater.
Lonely,
Blank in a box.
Blank in a box.
That's pretty good.
I mean, also the going on down to Omeletville. He did that a million times.
I think
that's not the funniest though.
I think people tend to take the one when they were 17 years old, whatever that was.
Yeah.
That was like, because that's your height. Oh my gosh. So I don't know. Does SNL still as popular? I feel like it's still pretty.
Can't be.
Because now you see it on Twitter on Sunday morning or something, and it's still pretty darn funny. I saw some funny stuff this year. I think it's doing okay. I'm just saying that.
They always thrive when they can have fun with the politics stuff, obviously.
Election years are
right
good.
now. I mean, it's.
I know.
Amanda,
I'm not
where's
say
the
peak,
joke
but
star?
It's pretty close.
We're peak ridiculous.
Yeah,
here.
Amanda, you're obviously young. I bet you didn't grow up with as much SNL as we did.
I didn't grow up with SNL as much, but my favorite SNL skit is The Exorcist with Richard Pryor. I remember that vividly. And then there's like a church lady with
Dana Carvey.
Yeah. So those ones I know. But now I don't feel like SNL is as popular now. Like a lot of people think it's like cringy and stuff.
Yeah,
and
I get it.
I don't
know.
know.
Not
really?
like Satan.
Yeah, sometimes. But I think Bowen Yang is really funny.
He's very funny.
Really funny.
There we go.
Martin
Well,
Short, Ed Grimley.
Oh,
I mean,
God.
there's a lot of good stuff.
I'm looking at lists. How about when Chris Farley's at Chippendale?
Oh, yeah.
with
that
Patrick Swayze?
I know how you feel about Chris Farley.
Just thinking about that, I'll wet my pants. All right, Chris Lopresti is here with headlines. Very important stuff. Let's get to it.
All right, so we're talking streaming stuff, and this is, I guess, somewhat related. So you recall about a month ago or so, you had the federal jury award the $4.7 billion in damages out of the whole NFL
Any
Sunday
day
ticket.
now, our check's coming.
Now,
yeah.
Funny you say that. The judge who presided over this class action lawsuit filed by Sunday Ticket subscribers against the league says the jury did not follow his instructions in determining damages. So I guess the league, there's a post-trial motion asking that they rule for the league if they find that the plaintiffs did not prove their case. So if you're waiting on that check, might want to pump the brakes a little bit on that.
I don't like to fuel this kind of talk because I believe in our institutions. But did this judge suddenly get a suite at Jerry World or something?
Seems a little sketchy.
All of a sudden, now, one of those powerful entities in the entire country has got political connections from sea to shining sea. Suddenly, they're upset with the jury.
Yep. And this final line that the judge could order a new trial because the 8-person jury came up with its own calculations for damages. So that $4.7 billion might be going right out the window.
I love it. The judge of that new trial is going to be Stephen Ross. And the jury is going to be made up of the Maras, the Rooneys, a couple Walmart heirs.
The Chicago Bears super fans. But, right, the owner. I saw Mike Florio, our buddy at Pro Football Talk, said that he's read 3,000 pages of the decision, and there's another 1,000 left or something. They burying us under legalese. We're not going to get our $33 check. This is terrible.
How dare they?
I am so mad. I honestly thought I was going to get. And by the way,
when people sorry, go ahead.
We're about to write a big check to those stupid Sunday ticket.
I know. I'm just waiting for my renewal email to come through. The other thing is, it's like it's just like as American as apple pie, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
It's just the rich, powerful people get their way.
Always.
There was, and I forgot to tell you. I think we were all away. There was a $60 rebate about a month ago on the total cost of the year, even if you already have it. It was.
I missed that.
It was. You could get it for I think $409 instead of $469. I missed it
check,
too.
Missed the rebate.
I saw it in my email.
Strike it
I
out.
saw it in my email. I was a weekend. I'm like, I got to tell everyone we got to jump on this deal.
Well, you know what's going to happen. Again, the moment I click those terms and conditions, I basically signed up for this until I die.
Well, thank God.
And beyond that.
Thank God. I hate that week one. Oh no, it's like the game's kicking off. Oh no, it's not working. I got to call the helpline. The helpline has like a 7-hour wait. I don't know. Does that ever happen to you with Sunday ticket? Many times with me.
If we were to rank like the most panic-inducing moments as a sports fan that have nothing to do with the game, week one, not making sure that everything's all set up. I would say number 2, and this might actually be number 1, is forgetting your Yahoo login the day of the fantasy draft.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
So scary.
Or when you're filling out your NCAA tournament brackets and you got to figure that out.
Yeah, forget my CBS Sports password.
Absolutely. I thought you were going to say when there's like rain and the cable goes out, but that doesn't happen to me.
Not the cable. The
dish,
satellite.
Yeah,
the dish goes out.
You say it doesn't happen anymore.
Happens in this
here.
Well, I was thinking it happens in this building.
Yeah. By the way, it must be pouring
Shocker.
outside because we've got no TV.
Yeah, there you go.
Or when it's 11 o'clock Sunday morning, you're getting out of bed. It's like, oh man, time to go set my fantasy lineup. London game.
Yes.
That also, I last year crapped out of our Survivor pool because I forgot.
Oh,
that's specifically
Just forgot
London.
to pick a game.
That's how you go
Sean
out.
Barash was like,
all the time.
I've never been more disappointed in you. It's like, I just forgot.
Happens all the time.
And I just totally crashed out week 2.
Or you're live betting a game. Does this ever happen to you guys? You're live betting a game and you're like, I really feel like the Lions are coming back here. And then you try and bet it, then it spins. It's like, location not verified to make this bet. So you're like, oh no, I have to get on the Wi-Fi because like DraftKings and FanDuel need to verify your location. By the time you get the bet in, the line has changed drastically because Jared Goff already has 2 touchdowns that you saw coming. That happens to me all the time, I feel like.
That is frustrating. Or you're watching and of course you're behind by a few seconds at minimum. And you're thinking you got it all figured out. And those lines are ahead of you because they already know what happened in the stadium.
They're on live and we're 5 seconds behind.
Yeah.
I actually follow the live betting. I'm like, oh, I know what happened on 3rd down because the line just changed.
Yeah, 100%. And if you stream, it's even longer, the delay. So just beware.
All of a sudden you're pixelated.
We are we're all so insane as football fans.
No,
we're just
I think
insane.
This is
people.
relatable.
Yeah, no. I think it's relatable. I think we're just insane, and that's the best part about it.
In case you've been living under a rock or you need your memory refreshed, we had the viral crash and burn clip from Deshaun Foster in his press conference during Big Ten Media Days last week. I'll just run that back for you real quick, and then we'll tie it in.
I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA.
Hello?
It's us and USC. We I'm just basically excited, really. That's it.
Spot the
Any
lie,
questions?
CeeLo.
Oh, boy. So that was rough.
Why did he start laughing?
I think because
he realizes he's
where in LA was meant to be a joke, and it was crickets.
Oh, do you think it was meant to be a joke?
I do, and then I think that's where he lost it. I think he
It
got
never
no
even
reaction.
occurred to me it could have been a joke.
Yeah, I think he was going for the laugh there, and when he got nothing, he panicked.
I did sense that, like, he was trying to say, we're new to the Big Ten, and I'm making... Oh, so it was a joke. That makes more sense.
I think so.
Oh,
Based
so
on
he didn't get the reaction he wanted,
Right, then
and
he
he
looked to
lost.
his left
So
as he
he's
laughed as
bombing.
if it was like, maybe their SID or something, or a PR person or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh boy, that didn't go over so well. And it was like,
Sorry,
I didn't realize we were watching a man drown for a totally different reason.
I could be wrong.
No, I think you're
that
right.
was my sense. And then it was like, then he just deer in the headlights.
Just to bring it back to SNL for
Just
once.
start tap dancing or something like save us.
There's an SNL skit where Luke Priestley from 90210. From
Jason
902.
Priestley.
Oh no, so the other guy, Luke Perry, was doing an SNL monologue, and he's telling jokes, and all of a sudden, Ben Kenobi from Star Wars voice comes in his head. He goes, "Luke, you're bombing."
That's funny.
It's a really famous skit, and my friends and I always say when someone tells about it, "Luke, you're bombing right now." So Deshaun Foster bombed and
He
just
was
lost
bombing.
it.
And the reason I played that again, so first day of practice yesterday for UCLA, he shows up wearing a shirt with the outline of the state of California, and it says, "We're in LA," with the UCLA helmet depicting the location of the school within the state map. So he was having some fun with it, and they did ask him about it.
Did you just get that T-shirt printed up last few days, or was that... Oh, this thing? Yeah. This is just a... It was just a shirt, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew where LA was at. Just to clarify. And where UCLA is, so that was basically it. Whose idea was it? It was mine.
So he's playing into it, right? And you could tell there, I think from his response, it's kind of dripping with sarcasm a
Yeah,
little bit.
no, I think he's an acquired taste for humor.
Yeah.
Because if he actually did come up with that shirt, he's brilliant.
I mean,
I
unless
definitely
he's lying,
want one.
but yeah, it's a cool looking shirt. It looked good on him, so he's ready to go.
I saw a Q&A with him just after that press conference. Like, he's a totally good talker. Like, he's not a college coach by accident. Like, he's not Nick Sirianni, by the way, who is continued to be kind of weird. Like, I think Deshaun Foster's fairly smooth
Speaking
from
of
what I
opening
can tell.
press conferences, I mean, the Sirianni one is
All timer.
Yeah, I feel like
The
Deshaun
fertilizer?
Foster's going to
You don't
have...
want me mentioning fertilizer. in the
wasn't that
opener.
later? Was
that
that
was
in the
later?
opener with the plant and the growth and the flowers or whatever? No, the opener had to do with the... Oh, man.
He just lost his train of thought.
Right, and he was trying to talk about how, they've got this right system in place and you can understand it, and our players are going to they're going to pick it up quicker and play faster, but his delivery of it, he clearly, he went off script or thought, hey, I don't need a script because I can deliver this properly with no notes, and it was a total crash and burn. He sounded like a moron, honestly. Not that I've ever given an opening press conference without any notes or anything like that. But he was trying to convey, this is like top of the line, and we know what we're doing.
We know. Perloff has it sewn into a pillow that sits on his couch.
Yeah, it was like an analogy that made no sense. But again, it didn't bother me that much. Like,
it was just funny.
But he's actually had a bunch of weird lines since then. See, I think Deshaun Foster is going to put this behind him.
Man, CeeLo, do you have that Olympic story that you updated us on about the triathlete? Did you tell us that?
I did not.
Ryan, did you
No.
tell us this? I'm sorry.
I did.
You came in during the break. We'll get to that next. Sorry, I thought CeeLo had.
That's all right. Oh, this was what? The first part of being smart is knowing what to do.
Honestly.
We have systems in place that are easier to learn. When we can learn our system and get good at our system, then our talent can take over. And then, less thinking equals talent take over. And just the delivery of it was it was so cringeworthy. I was like, oh my God, this guy's an NFL head coach, but he's proven us wrong to some extent, right? He's had some success.
Yeah.
He got a question at a press conference. What do you do around here? And it was like legit question.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Deshaun Foster is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're all. I'm actually rooting for UCLA for the first time probably ever. I've never been. When's the last time I'm like, man, I hope UCLA football does well? Deshaun Foster.
He went for the laugh. He didn't get it, right?
Yeah.
Neutral media there at Big Ten Media Days wasn't exactly playing.
I think he summed it up all well. I'm just excited.
I'm excited. Any questions?
Oh, man. Well, maybe a couple rounds at the Laugh Factory in LA. He can really sharpen that set to a tight 5.
Right.
CeeLo, thank you so much. All right, we will get to this story, I'm sorry, that Ryan had, apologies, about the Olympic triathlon that went on yesterday in the E. coli-infested water of the Seine. How could you not stick around for this story? We'll get to it next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Of the show is sponsored by Hyundai's bold family of EVs that bring a new kind of energy to your journey. The Ioniq 5 and 5N, Ioniq 6, and Kona Electric, the most electric EV lineup. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, we've been all over this story. The water quality in the Seine in Paris disrupting the triathletes. They had to postpone the event for a day, but they ended up making things worse because it rained in Paris, which basically just washes all the filth from the streets into the river and makes the quality worse. Ryan, you have an update from some of the triathletes themselves.
So a Belgian triathlete swimmer, Jolien Vermeulen, was interviewed by a Flemish TV channel, VTM. And she, end quote, said, "While swimming under the bridge, I felt and saw things that we shouldn't think about too much." So I don't know what she's talking about.
What is it, 1864? What is happening in this river? Like, I live by
the bubonic plague is happening. It is that. It's the Middle Ages there.
I've seen the Seine.
Water.
I don't remember the Seine being, it looks like every other major river in every city. Why is this so much worse?
Well, probably shouldn't be swimming in any of these major rivers. She said, "We'll know tomorrow if I'm sick or not. It doesn't taste like Coca-Cola or Sprite." She said she ingested a lot of the water during the race and was concerned of what it would do to her body. Blech.
All that for 24th place.
She came in 24th?
24th.
That just adds insult.
And then you have a week in the bathroom.
You're lucky if it's not a week in the hospital. Man.
Historically, just bad.
By the way, this is the most covered triathlon in Olympic history.
Without a doubt. By a power of 10.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't it be? I mean, you can't have people swimming in this disgusting water.
Yeah. It's, I didn't even really know they did triathlon in the Olympics until
just now.
It's not necessarily a TV sport, triathlon.
Not usually. You're right about that.
Yeah, it's just hard to it's not like gymnastics where there's one moment and you wait for the judge to get in. It's just kind of a slow burn.
Yeah, you've been watching a lot of gymnastics.
No, yesterday was a big swimming night for me. Men's tennis. I didn't watch gymnastics. I tuned in for the very end. I don't know if anyone saw this. The Chinese gymnast, the man was going all around against a Japanese gymnast. And it came down to a 10th of a fraction on the judgment, and they were waiting for it. And basically, they announced it. The entire Japanese team went bananas. The media went bananas. It was, Amanda, did you see this?
Yes, I did.
It could not have been closer.
Intense moment.
Okay, but here's the thing about the scoring. It still makes no sense to me.
I completely agree.
Well, the announcer was trying to explain it.
Yeah, they're doing a terrible
He's
job.
like, this is a 10th deduction.
Doing well, but the scoring for gymnastics might as well be hieroglyphics. I feel like I can understand what's written on the side of the pyramids more than I can understand what someone got on the pommel hole.
Well, to be fair, this guy did have the deduction. He's like, his elbow was crooked here, and they're going to take off a 10th of a point, and I think this is going to be enough. What? His elbow was crooked? What are they talking about? But I can judge. I could be a diving judge.
What makes you qualified for that?
We all know how to judge a dive. We've all watched Olympics for years. Was there a splash? If there's no splash, he nailed it.
That's it? You're not looking at anything they did before that?
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks like me. Oh, there's a splash. He must have missed it or she must have missed it.
Okay, so tonight you got Hall of Fame game in Canton.
Yeah.
Or you have Olympics where you have the women's all-around, individual all-around tonight. So you get a little more Simone Biles in your life. If you're into that, what will you be watching?
What channel is the Hall of Fame game on? Is it ESPN? I think it is.
Sure.
Or is it Fox?
No, I think it's ESPN. I think Buck and Aikman are going to be there.
I will definitely watch the football game. And you know why? Just going to admit it. I'm watching in the afternoon.
Oh, because you're watching the gymnastics. You can watch it live.
Yes, and
most people don't have that luxury. We have unique jobs.
Apparently, there's an explosion of afternoon ratings. Afternoon ratings have quadrupled anything from any other Olympics. They're getting double-digit millions, like 10 to 15 million watching gymnastics live. So I'm going to double dip, do both. Is that cheating?
No, this is great, but a lot of people can't do that. They have to watch it on tape delay at night. But I thought you were saying because you're betting on the Hall of Fame game, and I was about to.
You can.
I know.
Andrew Bogusch was just had an interesting point. He's like, it's been such a revelation, the afternoon ratings, that they're considering, like, the pro leagues are noticing and might start doing weekday afternoons. Like, they're so huge, the numbers are just, because everyone's working from home, aka nobody's working. So all of a sudden, everybody's watching these.
Not you, EJ. We know you're working. You're just
I think, actually, Paris, the timing has been great. It's not like China was bad. Brazil wasn't perfect, as I recall. Like, things are good. Like, we can see at 2:00 in the afternoon if you want to. And also, everyone has their phones.
I think you're right. I think it's the work habits. I think that's what it is. More people are just home now, where you can be working from home and have a TV maybe in your office and still be watching while you're also, like on a Zoom call or whatever.
Yeah.
Air quotes. Yeah, EJ.
I was gonna say I went to my physical therapy for the first time yesterday, and the front desk guy was more interested in whether Sudan was going to cover the spread than getting me set up for my first PT appointment.
Yeah. So, what was he watching?
Same.
On his phone?
No, it was on the TV.
Oh, on the TV.
I guess they had Peacock hooked up to the TV in the PT studio. So once the game ended, he had switched it to a different Olympic sport. But he was totally invested. I'm like, wow, this guy does. I could write my name as LeBron James and he wouldn't even know.
Was this
on the sheet?
Was it Shohei's interpreter who was doing the PT? Like, who is this guy?
No, Ipe's second job. No, this is not Shohei's interpreter, but a guy who was very invested in Team USA, whether or not they were gonna cover.
And then also behind this door opens up an illegal poker game. You can have it's a full service physical therapy. You can go there and rehab your knee, and then you can get in some Texas Hold'em. That's more like a place Perloff would go, actually. Perloff was, for a while, when you were a younger man and didn't maybe have the money / insurance, we were going a little off book to some underground physical therapy.
It was an earlier age of the internet where the first physical therapist that came up on a Google search I went to, that was a huge mistake. When there's a homemade whirlpool, I actually...
With scabies in it?
I was picking up my daughter deep in Brooklyn the other day, and she sent me to an address right next door. There was like an old school physical therapy place, and the doors were open. You could see there were fans up on the wall because it wasn't air conditioned.
Oh, brother.
Yeah, there are bad PT places out there. I've heard horror stories. Because
it's all these kickball games that are getting people in trouble.
Yeah.
Like EJ. How about that?
I'm still, by the way, we don't talk enough about my grade 2 MCL sprain.
No, we talk plenty about it.
I don't think we talk enough.
I
don't think we talk enough about it, Maggie.
Now that we're in year 3, I don't know if I can continue to get the same energy.
Well, listen, if you want to talk about my grade 2 ankle sprain as well, like, I still don't know which is worse, grade 1 or grade 3. I had no idea.
Yeah, and I don't either. It's like storms.
It's like 1st degree burn, 2nd degree burn, 3rd degree.
Category 1, category 5.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Category.
They're all bad.
I think 5 is bad, right? Or is 1?
Beats me.
I just saw twisters, and you don't want an F5 twister. Trust me. It's bad news, Maggie. An F1 might look cool. If you see an F5 coming down the highway, get the heck out of Topeka.
I'm already gone. The idea of the people who are the storm chasers, last profession I would ever try beyond triathlete.
Will you go see Twisters? I just want to talk to you about it. I want to hear your thoughts on it.
No.
All right. Come on.
I've got a lot of pommel horse to watch. And now Hall of Fame game. Thank you, Ryan Botcher. Thank you, Amanda Vilas. Thank you to EJ Stewart. Thank you to Chris Lopresti, Andrew Kaplan. What a great team we have here. Thank you to the Weedos and the Coffee Drinkers. Finish out the week strong with you guys tomorrow.
You're in a 5-minute break.